Right now we are going to Dolly's house. Don Smith is taking Klein. Let's see what happens. The Medium is the title, by the way. And if I remember correctly from the Annie News video, I think this process is a lot longer in the novel, so let's see how it goes. A true medium. Klein repeated this description inwardly. I did not speak again. He followed Don Smith down the carriage. Wait, music. Wow, great start, guys. Okay. A true medium, Klein repeated this description inwardly and did not speak again. He followed Don Smith down the carriage. Welch's place in Tingen was a detached house with a garden. Ooh, so middle class. We know that though. The road outside the hollowed metal gates allowed 4 carriages to pass through at once. Street lamps lined the sides of the road every 50 meters. They looked different from the ones Klein had seen in his previous life. Okay. There were gas lamps and height of every lamp was about that of an adult male, so that it was convenient to light the lamps. Okay, we're gonna get a good description of Welch's house here. The black metal was closely pressed to the glass, forming a checkered pattern, casting out classical paper lantern-like artworks. Coldness and warmth were intertwined with the darkness and light coexisted. Cozy. Walking along the pathway blanked by rays from the sunset, Klein and Don Smith entered Welch's rented place through the ajar metal gate. Wait, I feel like it's too loud. Right? I like the piano, wow. Okay, now it's fixed. Facing the main entrance was a cemented road that led straight to a 2-floored bungalow. 2 garages could go at once. Okay, so it's a pretty big house. There was a garden on the left and lawn to the right. The pleasantly faint fragrance from the flowers mixed with the cool scent of fresh grass made one feel happy and relaxed. As soon as he stepped in, Klein shivered and peered around. Okay. So Welch house, oh, he rents it though. I was gonna say it's like a little bit more than middle class, middle high class maybe. He felt that in the garden somewhere in the lawn on the roof behind the swing, somewhere in dark corner, pairs of eyes were observing him. Leonard maybe? There was clearly no one here, yet Klein felt as if he was on a crowded street. Oh, so it's not just maybe Klein is feeling really nervous, you know? This strange contrast, this peculiar feeling tensed him up. A chill ran up his spine. Something's wrong? He couldn't help but something's wrong. He couldn't help but exclaim to Tan. Tan's expression remained unchanged as he walked beside him and replied calmly, "Just ignore them." Oh, is it because of Dolly? This Nighthawk had said so. Klein tolerated the chilling feeling of not being able to notice the perpetrator, despite being followed, spied, and observed. Step by step, he arrived at the main entrance of the bungalow. If this goes on any longer, I'll go crazy. As Tan reached out his hand to knock on the door, Klein quickly turned around. Flowers swayed in the wind without a person in sight. Has it been a day already? Or is it still the same day? I think it's been a day, right? Come in, gentlemen. A seemingly ethereal voice came from inside the house. Don turned the doorknob, pushed the door open, and said to a woman on the sofa, "Dolly, any results?" The chandelier in the living room was unlit. A set of 2 leather couches surrounded a coffee table. Yeah, man, bro has marble in his house. On the table was a lit candle, but the light emitted a cobalt blue glow. It covered the half-enclosed living room, dining room, and kitchen in strange eerie hue. On the middle of the sofa sat a lady in hooded black robe who wore blue eyeshadow and a blush. Damn. Exposed silver bracelet with a hanging white crystal pendant was worn around her wrist. Let me remember. I think in a donghua, that's a really good description actually. Right? Dolly did have blue eyeshadow and a blush. So yeah. Is it going to take long? Come, let me read. At the first sight of her, Klein had inexpressible feelings. She was dressed just like a real medium. Was she stereotyping herself? Dolly the medium with uncanny beauty took a quick glance at Klein with her twinkling emerald eyes. She looked at Don Smith and said, "The original spirits have all disappeared, including that one of Felch and Naya's. Right now, all these little rascals know nothing at all." Spirits, spirit medium. Are the invisible things that were spying on him previously were spirits? Yeah, I think so. There were so many of them. Kleiner moved his hat and placed it across his chest, bowing slightly as he said, "Good evening, madam." Don Smith sighed. "That's tricky." "Why?" "Dali, this is Klein Moretti. See if you can get anything out of him." The medium Dali shifted her gaze onto Klein immediately. She pointed out a single armchair and said, "Please, take a seat." Dali looked exactly the same as I imagined. "Yeah, I think this is a really good description, by the way." "Thank you." Klein nodded. What I mean is donghua made her description justice. Klein nodded, took a few steps over and sat down obediently. His heart raced uncontrollably. Whether I survive, whether I get through this successfully, or have my secret exposed, will all depend on whatever happens next. All the thing that made him feel the most helpless was that he had nothing to rely on. He could only place his hopes on the inherent specialness. This feeling really sucks, Klein thought bitterly. Next, Don sat on the two-seater sofa opposite of Klein. Dali took out the thumb-sized glass bottles from her waist pouch. Her emerald eyes smiled at Klein as she said, "I need a bit of help here. After all, you are not an enemy. I can't treat you harshly. That might make you uncomfortable, or put you in pain. Might even leave some serious after effects on you. I will give you some fragrances, making you feel tender and smooth, which will allow you to let loose by bit by bit, so that you can truly indulge in those feelings." That sounded wrong. Klein gaped, his eyes were filled with shock. By the way, Dali seems a lot nicer in the novel. Right? In the donghua, she did it so, like, rough. But here, Dali is like, oh, it might ease the pain a little bit. Seated across him, Don laughed and said, "Don't be weirded out. We are different from the fellows from the Church of Storms." "Oh, really? Here the ladies can also verbally tease men. In this regard, you should be able to understand your mother was a... You should be able to understand. Your mother was a devout believer of the goddess. You and your brother used to attend Sunday school at church." Don has dug every single, like, but every single info on Klein as possible. Your mother was a devout believer. You and your brother. That's kind of creepy. Oh my... I mean, that's Don Smith's job, I guess. Understand, it's just that I never thought that she would be in such a Klein gestured, as he could not find the right words. He almost blurred out the direct translation for veteran driver. Okay. What's veteran driver is an internet slang phrase describing people who are very experienced in particular domains, especially sexually related things. Oh, not just posting pornographic resources. Okay, I see. Interesting. Don curved the corners of his mouth up and said, "Don't worry, actually Dali seldom does this. She just wants to use these methods to calm you down. She prefers corpses over men." I mean, good for you then, Don. I made the same joke on the top reaction, man. Too soon, I'm sorry. Rip, Don, man. "You make me sound perverted," Dali interjected with a smile. She opened one of the little bottles and dripped a few drops on the bright blue candle flame. "Night vanilla, slumbers flower, and chamomile? All distilled and extracted to form this aromatic floral essence. Klein is about to be drugged. Oh my god. Damn. Slumber flower. I call it Amantha. Amantha, it means tranquility in the Hermes language. It smells really amazing." As they chatted, the candle flame flickered, evaporating the floral essence and filling the room with its aroma. A beautiful, enchanting aroma found its way into Klein's nostrils. He no longer felt tensed up. He was instantly calm, and as if he was gazing into the darkness of the silent night. This bottle is called the Eye of the Spirit. Barks and leaves of Drago and poplar trees are sun-dried for 7 days and decorated thrice. Then they are immersed in Lanti wine. Of course, there will be several incantations while we're at it. As Dali described the liquid, the amber substance dripped onto the cobalt blue of candle flame. Okay. Sunlight for 7 trays, okay. Seems like a lot of ingredients. I wished Dali tracked me. Come on, guys. Upon smelling the ethereal scent of aromatic wine, Klein noticed that the candle flame was dancing wildly. The luster of Dali's blue eyeshadow and blush shone oddly, to the extent of him seeing double. It is a great helping hand for mediumship. It's also a floral essence that is sufficiently enchanting. Damn, helping hand, eh? As Dali explained continuously, Klein felt as if her voice was coming from all around. Dude, that's crazy. They're really easing into this Dali, like, going into Klein's mind. In donghua, it was so sudden, you know what I mean? Like in the donghua, Dali just went behind Klein, jump scared him, and then everything went down in like 30 seconds. Bewildered, Klein looked around and realized that everything was swaying and in a blur. He felt like he was shrouded by layers and layers of fog. Damn, even his body was swaying as it phased away before he began floating and all then losing his balance. Dude, he's on a trip right now. Colors blended like a impressionist painting. The reds were redder, the blues were bluer, and the blacks were blacker, appearing more detailed than usual. It was dreamy and hazy. Distinct murmurs from the surrounding came through, as if hundreds and thousands of people who could not be seen were debating. This feels similar to the luck enchantment ritual I did before, but without the kind of madness that makes your head feel like exploding. Klein looked around and thought questioningly. At this moment, his vision was locked on a pair of eyes that were crystal clear like emerald. On a blurry sofa sat Dali in a black robe. Eccentrically, her gaze concentrated on the tip of Klein's head. She smiled and in a gentle voice said, "Let me properly introduce myself. I am the spirit medium, Dali. I can still have rational thoughts. It's like when I was at that luck enchantment ritual and that gathering." The thought processed Klein's mind as he intentionally behaved muddled and said, "Hello there." The mental worlds of humans are extremely vast. Many secrets are hidden within the mind. Look at the ocean. What we know about is all of the superficial level. But in reality, deep in the ocean there's a larger unseen portion. Other than islands, there is the entire ocean. There is the boundless sky that symbolizes the spiritual world. Wow! Damn, very well put. Holy shit. Yeah. Also, aren't like 97% of the oceans unexplored? So we don't know what's under. An hour-long episode, one would have solved 75% of issues. I'm gonna start uploading the VODs today, so it's gonna be every few days, guys, from now on. YouTube at the start was slow because I wanted to put a little cap on Patreon, because I am unemployed, by the way. I'm trying to do this full time. If you are a spirit of your body, not only do you know of the islands above, but you also know the things hidden beneath the sea. Oh, true. But other people don't see that 100% of you. Other people see the 3% of you, right? But Dali can see the 100% of Klein here. At 99%. She doesn't do the curry fog and stuff like that. Transmigration, she doesn't get that, but she basically will get everything here. Anything that exists leaves some traces behind. The superficial memories of the islands may be wiped out, but it's what is left under the sea, and the entire ocean will definitely have a corresponding projection left in it. Yeah. Dali went on and on, bewitching Klein. The vague surrounding winds and shadows took a similar forms. It was as though Klein's spirit was fully exposed in the form of an ocean, waiting for him to search and discover. Klein watched patiently as he churned the ocean occasionally. Damn. Then in an airy voice he replied, "No, I can't remember. I have forgotten." That is true. He expressed his agony at just the right level. Dali tried to guide him once again. Dali's being so nice, man. Wow. Like this, I think, comparing this to the donghua, I like the noble one a lot more. I'm guessing they couldn't make like this ocean imagery and this symbolizing in the donghua. I mean, it was kinda, but when I was watching, it seemed more like he was in the sky rather than in the ocean, you know what I mean? He expressed his agony at just the right level. Dali tried to guide him once again, but the clear-headed Klein was unaffected. "Okay, we shall end here. You may leave." Leave. leave. The airy voice lingered and Tali disappeared. The wind and shadows began calming as the ethereal smell and subtle scent of the aromatic wine became more distinct again. The colors returned to their normal state, and the fuzzy feeling was no longer around. Klein's body quivered, and he found his balance again. He opened his eyes, which he had no memory of closing, and noticed that the candle with the bright blue flame was still before him. Don Smith was still resting comfortably on the couch. Same for Dali with the black hooded robe. Why did you use the theory that belongs to that bunch of evil madmen? The psychology alchemist. Don furrowed his eyebrows and stared at Dali. What? Dali? Surely nothing bad will happen from this. As Dali put away the 2 little bottles, he replied calmly, I think it's pretty accurate at least. It corresponds with some of the things I made contact with before. By the way, this is chapter 14 of volume 1. In Donghua, we didn't get mention of this until one of the old Neil lessons in like episode 7 or 6. Also, the psychology alchemist didn't start off as evil madman. Interesting. Without waiting for Don's reply, Dali shocked and said, this tricky fellow did not leave a single trace behind. Wow, Klein is cleared. Upon hearing this, Klein heaved a huge sigh of relief, but anxiously he asked, oh, it's over. What happened? It felt like I just took a nap. That was a pass, right? Thankfully, I had the lucky gentleman ritual as a rehearsal. Just take it as such. Don interrupted him and looked at Tali. Have you examined Welch's and Naya's bodies? Damn. So this is the same day, right? Otherwise the bodies will not be there. I thought it was the second day. The corpses can tell us a lot more than you can imagine. It's just a pity that Welch and Naya had indeed committed suicide, but the force that drove them to it is to be feared. Not a single trace was left behind. Dali stood up and pointed at the candle. I need some rest. The cobalt blue glow vanished and the house was instantly inundated with a blurry shade of crimson. Wow, okay. Because of the moonlight, right? You're going to follow us, guys. Congratulations, you can return home now. But do remember, do not reveal this incident to your loved ones. You have to promise this, Dunn said as he led Klein to the door. Okay. Surprised, Klein asked, is there no need to examine the curses or the trails left behind by the evil spirits? Dunn didn't mention anything about it, so there's no need for it, Dunn answered simply. Klein calmed down as the thought of his previous worries came to mind. He asked hurriedly, how can I be sure that I will be free from trouble from now on? The manhwa remake is finished till this point, by the way. When did it start? Like, how long has the manhwa been going? No worries, Don twitched his lips and said, based on statistics of similar incidents in the past, 80% of the survivors on incidents do not experience any horrifying after effects. 80%. Okay. Yeah, this is so on base what I know, roughly, more or less. Well, Don Smith doesn't seem 100% sure. Then there's still 1/5 of those poor souls. Glenn did not dare to try his luck. Then you can consider joining us as a civilian staff. This way, even if there aren't any precursors, we can discover it in time. Don said casually as he approached the garage, or simply become a beyonder. After all, we're not nannies. We can't babysit you all day long, even watch what you do, and even watch what you do with women. Weird thing to say, Don. Do you like watching people? Are you a cuck? That was a really weird comment. It's on chapter 15 right now. Okay, that's cool. I saw it on Discord. I'll look at it later. Also, yeah, the manhwa art is amazing. Can I? Klein questioned the statement. Also, basically, Klein is getting a job here, right? And I think, if I remember from Ani News, he's gonna be a civilian staff for like multiple chapters until he actually becomes a Beyonder. Of course, he did not expect much after all. How was it even possible to be part of the Nighthawk so easily, to obtain the power of the Beyonders? Klein, I think you are a special case because And like similar incidents in the past, people don't really survive a suicide. Job? Yeah, sorry. The J word is actually like, we shouldn't say the J word, guys. That was the power of Beyonders. Don paused and turned his head sideways to look at him. It's not that you can't, it depends. What transition in the word shocked Klein. Klein stared blankly beside the carriage before answering. Really? Why are you kidding? It's so easy to become a Beyonder. Is it so easy to become a Beyonder? No, you have to have insane discipline. Don laughed lightly. His cries were hidden in the shadow of the carriage. Don't believe me, huh? Actually, when you become a Nighthawk, you lose a lot. For instance, freedom. Even if you don't talk about this now, there is another issue. Firstly, you're not a member of the clergy, not a devotee. You can't pick whatever you want or choose the safest approach. Secondly, Don held onto the handle and hopped onto the carriage as he went on. Among the cases that we, us, the mandated punishers, the machinery high mind, and other judiciaries have to deal with annually, a quarter of them were a result of Beyonders who lost control. A quarter of them? That's crazy. It's like 1 in 4th. A quarter? Beyonders who lost control. Klein was dumbfounded. Just then, Don turned slightly. His grey eyes were deep with no sign of a smile. He continued, and among the quarter of cases, a large number of them are our teammates. Wow. Damn. Oof. Very interesting chapter where I realized that I am liking the novel more than donghua, especially the scene with Dali and Klein. Like, Dali's personality in donghua was completely changed. She basically jump scared Klein in donghua. Here, like, she eased into it. She drugged Klein. Klein was like floating, like he was on some kind of drug. And Dali was so nice. Even though in the donghua, Klein saw his parents and his friends. Here he didn't see it. Yeah, he didn't see it here. So was it a detail put on by the donghua? Anyway, chapter 15. Wow. So, yeah, also Klein got off the job, and I think he's gonna start off as civilian. Let's see. I don't remember much stuff from Money News. Who's Romero? What are you guys talking about? Chapter 15, The Invitation. A wave of tumultuous emotions rose up in Klein's heart. After he heard Don instinctively, he uttered, "Why?" The Beyonders have serious hidden dangers, so much so that the church's internal judiciary and the Beyonders who dealt with bizarre phenomena are also prone to problems. Don stepped into the carriage and sat back in his seat. His expression and tone remained the same. This is not something that you need to understand, neither is it something you can understand, unless you become one of us. I was struck dumb for a moment, after which he sat down and questioned in a low tone that was half dubious and half joking. If I don't come to understand, how is it possible for me to make a decision to join? Yeah. Klein is a very strategic person. And not joining would mean Klein could not understand. This would end in a deadlock. Don Smith took out the pipe once again, placed it against his nose and took a whiff. You may already misunderstood. A civilian staff member is also one of us, okay? Can't wait to see Roseanne. In other words, as long as I become one of your civilian staff members, I'll be able to understand the relevant secrets, figure out the hidden dangers that plague Beyonders, and the dangers that may be encountered, as well as considered whether I want to become Beyonder later. That's right, Klein. Klein recognized his thoughts and paraphrased what Don had shared. Don smiled and said, "Yes, that is the case, except for one point. You cannot simply become a Beyonder just because you want to, because every church will be equally strict in this aspect." Oh, so the church reviews every candidate, right? What's up, Hope? It will be odd if the churches were not strict, Klein lampooned silently. As he added with more intense tone, coupled with stronger body language, what about civilian staff members? They should be quite strict as well, right? Shouldn't be any problems if it's you, said Dunn with the half-closed eyelids as he whiffled the pipe with potentially relaxed countenance. However, he did not ignite it. Why? Klein asked as he was once again grappled by doubt. At the same time, he jested inwardly. So, the uniqueness and halo as a transmigrator are akin to the fireflies in the night, ever so bright and outstanding. Dunn opened his half-closed eyelids, his silver-colored eyes reflecting the same tranquility as before. By the way, I feel like in the future, or so I thought, the churches and the higher-ups are gonna hold Nighthawks back. But now that Season 1 ended, Dunn Smith died, Klein quote-unquote died and left Dingen, I honestly think we're not gonna see Nighthawk so much. We're gonna see Leonard becoming a red glove, maybe. We're gonna see like a little bit of Roseanne, Sika, Royale, maybe. But we're not gonna focus on Nighthawks that much anymore. You know what I mean? So, you know, me thinking that the church is gonna be a really big part of Season 2, I don't really think anymore, right? Maybe in the future down the line. First, you manage to survive without our help in such a situation. Certain exceptional qualities are not present in others. For instance, lucky people are often welcomed. Oh yeah, because they are still trying to figure out why Klein survived and Welch didn't, right? Seeing that Klein's expression had turned blank, Dunn smiled slightly. Alright, just treat this as a humorous statement. Second, you're a graduate of the history department from Coy University. This is something we urgently need. Although a believer of the Lord of Storms, Lumi. Ooh, new character! Although a believer of the Lord of Storms, Lumi perceives woman in a way that is loathsome, misogynist? His views regarding society, humanities, economics, and politics remain incisive. He said before that talents are key to maintaining a competitive advantage and positive development, a point that is very much agree with. Lumi perceives woman in a way that is loathsome. They have an incel in the Lord of Storms. Half of the chat is mods. I made Nightwalker a mod because in the beginning of the stream, Lucy had problems with the internet, Constantine wasn't home, and username couldn't be here. That's why. Misogyny Storms based? Come on, dude. What the fuck? More like incels. Noticing that Klein was slightly furrowing his eyebrows, Dunn casually explained, "You should be able to imagine that we often encounter documents and objects from the 4th epoch or earlier." Ooh, this is like old. At least 1,000 years old. Many cults and heretics have tried to gain power from these things. Sometimes they themselves can lead to strange and terrible things. Okay. Except for beyonders in special fields. Most of us are not with our studies or have passed that age. Having said that, Dunn Smith pointed to his own head, and the corner of his mouth turned up slightly as if he was mocking himself. He then said, "Those dry, boring knowledge always puts us to sleep. Even the sleepless can't help it." In the past, he will cooperate with historians and archaeologists, but this posed the risk of exposing secrets, and mishaps might befall on these otherwise uninvolved professors and associate professors. Thus, the addition of a professional in our ranks is hard to refuse. Klein has the receipts. He has a good CV that Nighthawks need. He's a history graduate. Klein nodded lightly and accepted Dunn's explanation. With his thoughts all over the place, he asked, "Then why don't you directly groom one?" When I think of grooming, I think of something bad, so can we not use that word, please? Dunn continued, "This brings me to the third point, which is also the final and most important point. You've already been through a similar ordeal, so inviting you doesn't violate the confidentiality clause." Klein is kinda getting groomed, though. With, them, asking him to join and, yeah. Anyway, with regard to developing others, I will bear the responsibility of exposure. If it fails, most of our team members, our civilian staff members, come from within the church. Okay. After Klein, so Klein is like one of a kind here. Also, Don is taking responsibility. That's good. I like that. Klein supports Groomy. After Klein finished listening silently, he asked curiously, "Why are you so strict about maintaining confidentiality? Won't spreading the news publicly to more people and increasing awareness lessens the chances of similar mistake from happening again?" Yeah, but the thing is, the churches are keeping it secret for a reason. The greatest fear stems from the fear of unknown. Oof, we can make the unknown become known. Damn! I like that line. The greatest fear stems from the fear of the unknown. I like that. Now humanity stupidly is beyond your imagination. It actually leads to more people emulating these acts, creating more chaos and more severe incidents. Yeah. Don Smith shook his head and replied. Klein acknowledged, as he replied in enlightenment, the only lesson that humans can learn from history is that humans do not gain any lessons from history. True. And they're always repeating the same tragedies. That's so fucking true, by the way. Holy shit. Wow. The famous quote from Emperor Cell is indeed filled with much philosophical meaning. Agree with Tan. Wow. Wait, did Klein know this quote, or is this quote from like China? And Emperor Cell also brought that quote over. Emperor Cell said that. This transmigrant scene really did not give the latecomers any chance to posture. Klein did not know how to follow up on Don's word. That's so funny, bro. Don turned his head and gazed out of the horse carriage. The dim yellowish light of the street lamps intervened to display the splendor of civilization. There is a similar discourse within the judiciary. How do I say this fucking word, by the way? Copy. Judiciary? Judiciary? Judiciary pronunciation. Let's listen together, guys.
Judiciary.
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 It's the American one.
Judiciary.
Judiciary. Judiciary.
Judiciary.
That's crazy, man. Skill issue. Judiciary. Within the judiciary of the major churches, this may be the main reason for the strict confidentiality of and the prohibition of ordinary people from knowing. God. What is it? Klein asked as his interest was piqued. Pleasure that he seemed to be spying on secrets. Damn, Klein. We're learning with Klein, by the way. I kinda like that, because Klein is also new to this world. Don turned his head, his facial muscles pulled themselves so lightly that it was hardly visible. Even though Klein has info of this world, but doesn't have any info on the Beyonder world. Like, none at all. What is my first language? Or, yeah, Estonian. Let me... Don turned his head, his facial muscles pulled themselves so slightly that it was hardly visible. Faith and fear bring troubles. More faith and more fear bring more troubles, until everything is destroyed. After he said that, Don signed. Besides praying for the blessings and help from gods, humans can solve their major problems. True. Faith and fear bring troubles. More faith and more fear bring more troubles. Glenn recited silently, but he could not fully understand it. What followed next was the fear of uncertainty that came from the unknown. It was like the dark shadows formed by the street lights outside, in the darkness without light. It appeared as though there were pairs of callous-looking eyes and wide-open mouths. As the horse galloped vigorously and nimbly, while the wheels of the horse carriage reeled on ahead, with Iron Cross Street in sight, Don broke the silence suddenly and formally by the Klein. This is the formal, like, let's go. Would you like to join us as civilian staff member? Let's see what Klein says. In Klein's mind, multiple thoughts surfaced, making him indecisive. He contemplated and asked, "Can I have some time to consider?" This is very different from donghua, by the way. At the end of episode 1, we had Don Smith telling him, join the Nighthawks and become a Beyonder. All of this civilian stuff was removed. He never became civilian staff in the donghua. What is the name of the website? It's an EPUB. There's a link in my Discord, I think. So if you wanna join my Discord, there's a link somewhere here. You can ask, they're gonna give you the link to the EPUB. That's why episode 1 is terrible. After reading novel, I don't think it's terrible. But after reading novel, I think it should have been like a double episode special. It should be like at least 1 hour long. I think episode 1 is not terrible, but it could have been better. Anyway, in Klein's mind, multiple thoughts surfaced, making him indecisive. He contemplated and asked, "Can I have some time to reconsider?" To consider. Since this matter had serious implications, he could not hastily and recklessly make a decision. "No problem, just give me a reply before Sunday. What day is it today?" Dan nodded and added, "Of course, remember to keep this a secret and don't disclose this information regarding Welch to anyone, including your brother and sister. Once it is violated, it will only bring them trouble. You might also have to attend a special court." "Okay," Klein answered gravely. The carriage was once again plunged into silence. Seeing that they were nearing Iron Cross Street and that he was almost reaching home, Klein suddenly thought of a question. He hesitated for a few seconds before asking, "Mr. Smith, what kind of salary and benefits do civilian staff get?" He's gonna negotiate his salary, guys. This was a serious question. Taken aback momentarily, Tan smiled instantly and answered, "There's no need for you to worry about this issue. Our funds are guaranteed by the church and the police department." Red flag. If a real company says it like that, it's a red flag, guys. For newly registered... Best soundtrack. For newly registered civilian staff, the weekly salaries are placed at 2 pounds and 10 solly. Wait. That's less than 6. I guess civilian staff. There's an additional 10 solely as compensation for the risk and confidentiality. All of this will add up to a total of 3 pounds. It's hardly worse than a confirmed university lecture. Damn, university lectures get so little. Is the greenest of flags. After which your salary will gradually rise according to your experience and contributions. As for I'm gonna keep this OST, by the way, in my in the playlist, so it can have some insanely good timing. I'm just saying. As for civilian staff members, the contract is generally 5 years. Wow, okay. After 5 years, you can quit normally if you're no longer willing to stay. You only have to sign a lifetime NDA, basically. And you're not allowed to leave Tingen until permission is given. If you want to move another city, the first thing you must do is register with local Nighthawk. Question. What if you want to quit before 5 years? You have to go to some court process or what? 3 pounds a week is great. No. I'm just saying a university lecture should get more than 3 pounds a week. Imagine getting a PhD. This system is different, of course, in this world, right? But imagine becoming a university lecturer and only getting 3 pounds a week. Even though 3 pounds is pretty good, right? It is pretty good. But it should be more. Anyway. By the way, there are no weekends and you can only work in shifts. At any point in time, there should be 3 civilian staff members on duty, and if you wish to go south or Desi Bay for vacation, you have to arrange it with your colleagues. Oh! South? Go to the south or Desi Bay, I guess is a good vacation spots. I'll keep that in mind when I get transmigrated, guys. You got corrupted by Audrey, 3 pounds a lot? Okay. I guess so, yeah. Audrey is the richest person, basically. Sign is getting the same amount of money that Klein is getting right now. Yeah, but they said that after contributing, it will I think it scales. I think Rosanna is getting a little bit more, maybe. Pensioners about 1 pound after busting his ass. True, you're right. Yeah, true, Hope. Yeah, true. My bad, man. You're right. You guys are right, by the way. I get it now. Just as Stan finished speaking, the horse carriage pulled to a stop an apartment building where Klein and his siblings resided and appeared on the side. I get it now. Klein turned around and walked down the horse carriage. He stopped at the side of the desk. By the way, Mr. Smith, where do I find you after I come to my decision? Stan gave a deep and low, throaty laugh. before saying, "Go to the Hound Pub at Basic Street and find their boss Wright. Tell him that you want to hire a small mercenary squad for a mission." Huh? Klein asked confusedly. "Our location is confidential too. Before you agree to become one of us, I can't tell you directly." "All right, Mr. Klein Moretti. I wish you a good dream tonight as well." Damn! I wish you a good dream. Okay, Don. Kinda scary. Don smiled as he said. Klein took off his hat and saluted, watching as the base of the departing horse carriage gradually sped up. He took out his pocket watch. Click. He pressed it open and saw that it was only a little past 4 in the morning. The street was filled with relaxing cool breeze. A dim yellowishly light from the street lamps illuminated the surroundings. Klein drew a deep breath and took in the deep silence of the night around him. The busy and noisy district in the day could be so lifeless and quiet at night. This was in stark contrast to the silent observations and medium seance in Welch's residence. Yeah, because Welch's residence was actually really cozy. It was only then that Klein realized that the back of his linen shirt was unknowingly drenched in sweat, cold and unclammy. Oh damn. Did he finish the show? One bout is... Oh yeah, so he's getting basically $300 a week. Yeah, that's a lot actually. That's more than me. For reference, by the way. This is also shown in episode 2, the rat baiting. True, I remember. Ba 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 ba. Why is there a blank page? Okay, cool chapter. Officially invited to become a Nighthawk, though in the civilian sector of the company, or not company. It's more like, yeah, it's not a company. It's not a private company. Nighthawks are basically a branch of the police force, right? So I'm guessing what we're gonna see next is Klein thinking about it. Maybe we're gonna have some more scenes with Melissa. This is new stuff to me. This wasn't the donghua from now on. And maybe we're gonna go to the Hound Pub next chapter as well, so let's jump into it. Okay, chapter 16, guys. We're gonna do at least 15 chapters today, by the way. It's gonna be a long-ass stream. By the way, guys, some of you guys watch Easy and the V's, right? I think I got their names right now. Do they read faster or slower than me? Last night around 2 AM, my friend sent me a text saying he was too excited to sleep. He had just reached the 6th volume and thanked me for recommending this novel to him. He even remarked that it was the best work he had read in the past decade. I suspect he might have secretly cried. Damn. Thanks for sharing, man. And there's a day after I saw all the mysteries and some old friends. Oh, I watched them on 2x speed. UNCUT. Okay. Okay, cool. Anyway, 1 second. Let's check if we have reached a milestone. Let's do it together, guys. And then we jump into it right away. Let's fucking go. 7,000 of you, by the way. I started this in June, for reference. I started in June with 4,000 subscribers. So in like 4 months, we have gained 3,000. That's crazy. Thank you, guys. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. Because we're gonna stream every few days. We're gonna do 30 chapters a week. 15 and 30 chapters. But mostly 30. So thank you so much, guys. Okay, let's change the soundtrack. Expedition 33, someone said. Expedition 33. What's Claire Obscure? What's a good soundtrack video from that? I guess this one. Why are you laughing, guys? I'll upload my votes on YouTube. First one going up today. Why Nightwalker mod? Because we had lack of mods in the beginning. I didn't want to get spoiled. Who's Kami? Anyway, chapter 16, guys. When you type easy, for me, this emote comes up, by the way. That's funny. Are you on Twitch? No, YouTube, okay. Anyway, chapter 16. Rat bathing with dogs. Okay. Ooh. I want to learn more about rat bathing. Quite easy in the Atlas dust emoji. That's so funny. God. Phew, I finally got chewed around with the medium. Oh, Dali. Klein let out a foul breath. He slowly turned around and enjoyed the cool breeze and tranquility of the night while walking closer and closer to the apartment building's door. He took out his keys, inserted the correct one in and turned it gently, allowing the crimson mixed darkness to expand with the creaking sound of the opened door. Walking on staircase without a single person in sight and taking it in the cold air, Klein had an inexplicable and amazing feeling. It felt like he had a few more hours than others. This caused him to hasten his pace. A similar state of mind, he opened the door to his room, and before he even stepped inside, he saw a silhouette sitting silently in front of his desk. It had reddish black hair, bright brown eyes, and delicate pretty face. Undoubtedly, she was Melissa Moretti! Oh my god, let's go, Melissa! Klein, where did you go? Melissa asked curiously as she relaxed her eyebrows. Without waiting for Klein's reply, she added, "Just now, I got up to go to the bathroom and realized you weren't home." It was as if she wanted to know everything clearly, from the cause and effects of the matter, the underlying logic. Cautious little sister. With a great experience in lying to his parents, Klein's brain took a spin before he gave a bitter smile and calmly replied, "I couldn't fall asleep again after I woke up. Instead of..." It is the next day. Wasting time, I said I should train my body, so I went out for a run a few rounds. Look at my sweat. Bro was running with a linen shirt. And... yeah, not believable, Klein. He took off his jacket and half turned his body, pointing to his back. Melissa stood up, took a glance half-heartedly and deliberately for a few moments before saying, "Honestly speaking, Klein, you don't have to stress yourself out. I'm sure you can pass the interview to Dingens University, even if you can't, if you can still find better ones." What does it mean? I haven't even thought about the interview. Klein nodded his head and said, "I understand." He did not mention the offer that he had gotten because he had not decided whether he wanted to join them or not. Staring at Klein intensively, Melissa suddenly turned around and trotted into the interior of the house. She took out an object that resembled a tortoise. Ooh, it consisted of items like gears, rusted iron, Torison springs, and ordinary springs. We saw this in episode like 5 in the donghua, but we have it already, guys. After quickly tightening Torsian spring, Melissa placed the object on the desk. Ka, 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 dum, dum, dum. The tortoise moved and jumped with a rhythm that could pull anyone's attention. Whenever I feel irritated, I feel much better seeing it move. I've been doing this very often recently, and it's very effective. Klein, give it a try, invited Melissa, and her eyes brightened. Klein did not turn down his sister's goodwill. He approached the tortoise and waited for it to stop before laughing, he said. He said simplicity and regularity can indeed help relaxation. Without waiting for Melissa's reply, Klein pointed the tortoise and casually asked, "Did you make this yourself? Where did you make this? Why wasn't I aware of it?" Why, Klein? Get off your sister's case, man. I made us unwanted materials from school and picked up things from the streets to make this. Wow! Melissa is a genius! Wow. 2 days ago, Melissa said in her usual tone, the side of her lips upturned a few more degrees. "That's impressive," Klein praised sincerely. "As a boy with poor skills in machine assembly, I encountered great difficulties even assembling a four-wheeled toy car as a child." With her chin slightly raised and her eyes slightly bent, Melissa calmly replied, "It was okay. Being overly humble is a bad trait. Klein smiled slightly and continued. This is a tortoise, right? Instantly, the atmosphere in the room took a great plunge, leaving behind an air of cravenness for a while. Then Melissa faintly replied with a voice that seemed enigmatic. It's like a crimson wheel. It's a puppet. Puppet? Klein gave an awkward smile. Ooh, and tried to forcefully explain. The problem lies in the materials. They're too rudimentary. How many chapters today? Like 16. More. Puppets. I saw mechanical puppets in other donghuas. Record of Mortal Chained Immortality, for example. Anyway, Klein gave an awkward smile and tried to forcefully explain. The problem lies in the materials, they're too rudimentary. Following that, he tried to change the topic and said, why would you go to the bathroom in the middle of the night? Isn't there a toilet there? Don't you always sleep till dawn? Oof. Lisa was taken back up momentarily. I was only after a few seconds before she opened her mouth, prepared to explain. At that moment, an intense sound of digestion sounded from her thoracoabdominal area. I'll get some more sleep. Oh my god. Poor girl. Bang. She grabbed her turtle-like puppet, trotted on the interior of the house, and closed the door to her room. Last night, dinner was too good. She ate too much, and now her stomach is having trouble digesting it. Yep. Poor girl. Klein shook his head and smiled slowly, walking towards his desk. He sat down soundlessly, silently pondering Don Smith's imitation as the crimson-red moon emerged from behind the dark clouds. I wonder if you can put like souls in the puppets in this world as well. You know what I mean? Like, are we gonna meet in the future a character that's like seems real but actually is a puppet or something? I'm the only Twitch viewer. Nice. Being a Nighthawk civilian staff member had its apparent disadvantages, with me being transmigrator, the fool, initiator of the mysterious gathering and the multiple secrets I have, it'll be risky to be under the noses of Church of Evernight's team that specializes in dealing with matters regarding the Beyonders. As long as I join Don Smith and his team, I will certainly aim to become a Beyonder. I will then cover up the benefits gained from the gathering. Ooh. Yet becoming a former member will contain many restrictions on my freedom, like how a civilian staff has to report his leavings of Tingen. Yeah, that is a problem. No longer will be able to go wherever I want to do, or do whatever I want. I will miss many opportunities. Just fake your death, you know what I mean? I mean, he did actually die for real, but he was saved by the Grey Folk, so he didn't actually fake his death. The Nighthawks are a strict organization. Once a mission is given, I can only wait for the arrangements and accept orders. There is no room for rejection. Beyonders have the risk of losing control. Having all these advantages listed out one by one, Klein turned to considering the necessities and advantages. He's putting all the pluses and minuses and seeing if the pluses overweigh the minuses. I do that a lot with my decisions, by the way. It's a really good way to do. You know what I mean? Judging from the situation of the luck enchantment ritual, I'm not one of the 80% of lucky people. Yeah, in the future there is bound to be some bizarre event happening to me, increasing the danger I face. Oh boy, you are not ready. Klein, you are not ready for this. What the fuck? One by one becoming one of the Beyonders, or by joining Nighthawks, can I be equipped with the ability to resist. The wish to become Beyonder cannot be solely reliant in the gathering. The potion formula is not a major problem, but where can I find the corresponding materials? How am I obtain and conduct them? Not forgetting the nose of daily practice. I'm faced with serious obstacles. It is just not possible for me to pursue justice and the hanged man on every matter and exchange every object with them. True. This would only hurt the image of the fool. Yeah, true. If you use them for info too much, you're gonna be like, do you even know anything? Maybe you're not the great deity that we thought you were. You know, you will expose yourself if you do that. But there will also be inadequate time to communicate on such trivial issue. Similarly, I'm unable to produce anything that can pique their interest. Besides, more materials will more often than not leave behind the trail of my real identity. Then online disputes will effectively be transformed into offline conflicts, bringing about immense troubles. Yep, true. By joining the Nighthawks, there will definitely be contact with the common knowledge of the world of mystery and relevant channels. This can sufficiently accumulate into a corresponding social circle and can be used as leverage. Only then I can initiate the gathering and in turn gain the greatest benefits from justice and the hanged man. Damn, you're thinking very well here. Klein is cooking. In fact, the gains can feed back into reality, allowing me to obtain more resources and form a virtuous cycle. Of course, you could also go to an organization that is suppressed by the various searches, such as the psychology alchemist mentioned by Don, and join them. No, don't do that, man. Oh my god. Yet I also lose my freedom and be in constant state of fear and anxiety. However, I'm surprised Klein actually considered that. Even though it was really slight, he did consider that. However, more importantly, I have no idea where to look for them, even if I manage to gain the corresponding information from the hanged man. Such rash contact with them could endanger my life. Becoming a civilian staff leaves opportunity for a buffer and exit. True, the inferior rescue hides away in the wild, the superior the crowd. Perhaps the identity as a Nighthawk can be a better cover. In the future, where I become one of the top authorities of the tribunal who would imagine that I am a heretic, the head of the secret organization who is working behind the scenes. I love this inner monologue, man. I love Klein putting his thoughts and we can hear his thought process every single step of the way of him becoming a civilian member of Nighthawks. I love that. Klein is me. Hello, Klein. Are you sure you're not John Mysteries instead? Lampooning, is that the real world? As the first rays of morning sun shone, the crimson disappeared. Gazing at the golden light on the horizons of the sky, Klein made up his mind. There we go, guys. He will find Don Smith today and become part of the Nighthawk civilian staff. They said before Sunday, right? Make up your mind before Sunday. There was just so many fucking positives that Klein is going with it the same day. So it's actually morning. Oh. We had this thought starting from episode 4. True. You will find Don Smith today. At this moment, Melissa, who had gotten out of bed again, had pushed open the door to the room. She wasn't surprised to see her brother stretching in an unglamorous manner. You didn't sleep? I was thinking through some things. Klein smiled, feeling relaxed. Melissa thought for a moment and said, whenever I encounter problems, I list out both the pros and cons one by one and compare them. Melissa, oh boy, I have a news for you. After that, I will be able to get a hint of what I should do next. That's a good habit, I did that too, Klein smiled and replied. Melissa's countenance was relaxed, and she did not add more. Holding a yellowish sheet of paper and her toiletries, she headed to the bathroom. Aw, poor girl, man. She has stomach issues. The food was too good. The food was too good. No, we are finally episode 2, yeah. In a hurry to leave, he finished his breakfast, and in his sister's departure, Klein took a good nap. Based on what he knew, nearly all of the pubs were closed in the morning. The Hound Pub. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he smoothed the plaits of his silk hat and handkerchief using a small brush. He also removed the dirt to re-establish the tidiness. Thereafter, he wore a suit of formal clothing, just like he was going for an interview. Bessick Street was a little far, and Klein was afraid that he would miss the working hours of Nighthawk. Therefore, he did not walk there. Instead, waited for a public horse carriage. Public? That's cool. Oh, it probably still costs money, right? It still costs money, right? Because last stream we learned that public doesn't mean free. Even though I was thinking of public school, here public school is free, public university is free, but in some places, even public university costs money. Public means it's open to everyone, not only rich people or nobility. Anyway, in the Lowen Kingdom, public horse carriages were placed under 2 categories, without track and with track. The former consisted of carriage drawn by 2 horses and could sit approximately 20 people, while taking into account the top of the carriage. Only 20 people on a fucking carriage? That seems a lot. Oh, 2 horses. Yeah. Username, are you flexing? On top of the carriage, only a general route existed. Without specific stations, it had flexible operations and could be hailed anywhere unless it was full. The latter was operated by an orbital carriage company. First, a rail-like service device Was late. Ooh! On the main street, the horses would move on the linear lane while the wheels ran on the tracks, making it easier and more labor-saving. This could thus pull a bigger double-decker carriage that sat nearly 50 passengers. Oh my god. Carriage bus we thought risky get in episode 5. That's so cool. Lee asked? Okay. However, the only problem was that the route and stations were fixed, making many places inaccessible. It's like a train. After 10 minutes, the sound of the wheels hitting the tracks approached from the distance. A double-decker horse carriage stopped in front of the Asian Iron Cross Street. The Bessic Street, Klein said to the carriage driver. I'll transfer at Champagne Street, but when you get there... Champagne Street? By the way, Champagne is a place in France. That's why Champagne is called Champagne. Did Roselle have anything to do with Champagne? I'm wondering. But when you get there, it takes about 10 minutes to walk onto Bessic Street, explained the carriage driver to Klein with regards to the route. Let's go to Champagne Street then, Klein nodded in approval. Like a tram? Ah. It more than 4 kilometers, 4 pence, said a young man with a fair and clean face as he extended his hand. He was worker responsible for money collection. Okay, Klein fished out of 4 copper coins from his pocket and handed it to the other party. He walked up the carriage. Pretty steep. 4 is pretty steep. Roselle has something to do with everything. Yeah. He walked up the carriage and found that there were not many passengers. Even on the first floor, there were a few empty seats. I only have 3 pence on me now, so can I only walk when I go back? Klein pressed his hat down and sat down firmly. Okay, so he's missing 1 pence. He has to walk back. On this floor, the men and women were mostly well dressed, although there were a few clothed in their work clothes, leisurely reading newspapers. Almost no one spoke and he was rather quiet. Damn. Klein shut his eyes and recharged his strength, oblivious to the coming and going of passengers around him. Station. I wonder if Regents is following him right now, right? Even Goko plans to read. Oh, good luck to him. I can't watch his reactions because I don't want to watch anyone and get my theories mixed up with their theories. But I wish I could watch. Where am I? I wonder if Regents is following. That's what I said, yeah. Klein shut his eyes and recharged his strength, oblivious to the coming and going of passengers around him. Station after station passed until he finally heard the few words. Champagne Street. After aligning the horse carriage, he inquired along the way and soon reached Bessic Street, where he saw the pub with the brownish-yellow hound logo. Klein reached out his right hand and gave a forceful push. The heavy door gradually opened, inunding him with a wave of uproarious noises and imperious heat wave. Oh, people are sweating and I guess they're betting money, right? Although it was still afternoon, there were many customers in the pub. Some were temporary workers looking for opportunities here, waiting to be hired. Others were simply idling around, numbing themselves with alcohol. The pub was dimly lit. In the center, there were 2 large iron cages with third of its bottom sinking deep into the ground without any caps. People held wooden wine cups and surrounded it, sometimes discussing loudly while laughing, sometimes cursing loudly. Giving a curious glance, Klein found 2 dogs caged inside. One was black and white, similar to the husky found on Earth. The other one was wholly black with shiny fur, making it look healthy and fierce. Do you want to bet? Do you want to bet? Dog has won 8 games in a row, said the little man wearing brown beret as he neared Klein and pointed to the black dog. Bet? Taken aback at first, Klein came to senses immediately. Dog fighting? When he was at Ko University, those aristocratic and wealthy students would always ask him contemptuously and curiously if the poorish workers and unemployed hooligans enjoyed participating in boxing and gambling at the pubs. Bro. So I guess people, the aristocrats in the university knew that, like, Klein was a brokey. Besides being able to gamble on boxing card games, it also includes cruel and bloody activities like cockfighting. Guys, do you want a cockfight? Who wants to do some cockfighting? I'm up to some cockfighting. Dog fighting and others. It's chickens, right? Or like male rooster fighting. The short man smirked. Mister, we're civilized people. We don't engage in such unglamorous activities. We're civilized. I hate when people say civilized because sometimes they think of them as, but they're not. Clip it? You are the clippers. Having said that, he whispered, besides laws were introduced to ban these things at last year. Oh, last year. That's pretty recent. I want to fight Klein's cock. Don't we all? We can fight our cocks? Sure, username, we can do that. Then what y'all getting on? Asked Klein curiously. The better hunter, just as the short man finished, his sentence, a resounding cacophony sounded. Cacophony, sorry. He turned his head, waved his hands excitedly and said, "You can't place a bet for this round as it started. Wait for the next one then." Upon hearing that, Klein tipped his toes, lifted his head and looked as far as he could. He saw two strong men, each carrying a sack, coming to the side of the iron cage and opening the prison door. They then dumped the contents of the sack into the cage. They were cruel and disgusting animals. Rats are cute. I think some rats are cute, right? People keep cockfighter pathway. I'm sequence fun of cockfighter pathway. I think rats are kept as pets too, right? Rats are so overhated. The client tried to investigate them carefully before realizing that there were rats. Hundreds of rats! One dog or hundreds of rats, guys? Which one wins? What do you think? It's like one gorilla versus 100 humans. 100 rats and one dog. There are 2 dogs though. I feel like rats are gonna win. Right? Rats bite and shit. As the iron gate was deep on the ground without any caps, the rats moved in all directions but could not find a way out. Right then, just as the door of the gate was closed, the chain of the 2 dogs were untied. Mice, cute, rats, exactly. Poof. Woof. The black dog bounced his head and killed the rat in one bite. Wow! The black and white dog was dazed at first before it started playing excitedly with the rats. Playing? Depends on the dog, true. There's so many different... Some dogs are like rats. The surrounding people either raised their wine cups and incensed their clays, shouted loudly, "Bite! Kill it! Dog! Dog!" What's dog? Dog? Motherfucking rat baiting with dogs. Rat baiting? What? No, this is not an invention of the author, but an actual legal blood sport known as rat baiting back in the Victorian era. The motherfucking got me off guard, by the way. One pregnant woman versus 3 grown-up men. True. Kleiner gained his senses and the corner of his mouth twitched increasingly. The objective of the gamble is to determine which dog can catch more rats. Oh, the rats don't kill the dogs. What's a dog? What the fuck is a... Yeah, you're right. What's a dog? The objective of the gamble is to determine which dog can catch more rats. Perhaps one can even bet on the specific number of rats caught. No wonder they were purchasing live rats at Iron Cross Street. That's really unique. That's still a little bit of animal abuse though. I think rats are cute. I don't think rats should be like in a fight like that. You know what I mean? That's really unique. Lion shook his head, laughing at backtracked and circled around the edge of the alcoholic customers and reached the front of the bar. New here, as he sparred Klein a glance while wiping the cups, he continued. 1 cup of rye beer is a penny. Enmont beer costs 2 pence. 4 pence for Southwile beer. Or do you want a cup of purely brewed malt Lanty? I thought he said milk in the donghua. I came here from Mr. Wright, said Klein directly and bluntly. The barman whistled and shouted on the side. Old man, someone's looking for you. Oh, who? A vague sound sounded and an intoxicated old man stood up from behind the bar. Ooh! He rubbed his eyes, shifted the gaze to Klein and asked, Lad, are you looking for me? Mr. Wright, I would like to hire a small mercenary squad for a mission, replied Klein, owing to what Tan had instructed. A small mercenary squad? Are you living an adventure story? This hasn't been around for a long time. The barman interrupted and smiled. What? Do we have the right place? Wright went silent for a few seconds before saying, Who told you about this place? Dunn Smith, replied Klein in all honesty. Instantly, Wright broke out in a chuckle and replied, I see. Actually, the small mercenary squad still exists. Just another form of, with a more contemporary name. You can find on the 2nd floor of number 36 Suitland Street. Okay, thank you. Thanked Klein sincerely before he turned and squeezed out of the pub. I remember when the donghua, the bartender was like, We don't serve milk here. To silver in that age? True. Bye, Saza. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Before he went on the pub, the alcoholic customer who surrounded him suddenly quieted down as they murmured. Dog was actually defeated. Defeated. Damn. Dog was the name of the dog, I guess. Klein smiled and shook his head. Then he left quickly and found his way to nearby Sutherland Street after asking around. 30, 34, 34. Here. He counted the house numbers and walked in the stairwell. Going around the corner and slowly climbing up the stairs, he saw the vertical sign with the current name of so-called Small Mercenary Squad. Blackthorn Security Company. Okay, cool. Bye, Saza. Cool. I really like this chapter. We did not like officially join yet, but Klein decided to join. He put all the positive, all the negatives. Classic technique, by the way. I do that all the time. I think that's the best way to decide. We learned that Melissa also had stomach problems from the food and she made the tortoise. So Melissa is very talented. I'm excited for her future. Like, she's gonna be an engineer. You're gonna be having a good, you know, middle class life. I'm hopeful. Anyway, next chapter 17, Special Operations Apartment. We have done 3 chapters in an hour, I think. Something like that. So, that's pretty good. Better than last time, right? We did 30 minutes per chapter last time. Now we're doing like 20 minutes. 1 second. Even though, like, I'm not slowing them down on purpose. Let's read this chapter and then I'm gonna take a small break, go to the bathroom and stuff. Engineer. Yeah, chat engineer. Blackthorn Security Company. Upon seeing the signboard, Klein felt surprised yet found it reasonable. Man, what do I say about this? He shook his head and laughed before walking up the steps and knocking gently on the half-closed door with his right hand. The sound echoed slowly but rhythmically. Rhythmically. My IQ points are going up, by the way, when I'm watching this.
Rhythmically.
Literally, my IQ is going up. Reading this, I mean. But there were no response, only a faint sputtering sound could be heard. Klein repeated only met with the same outcome. He switched, pushing the door, making the cap larger as he started inside. A classic sofa which might have been serving guests, a soft fabric armchair, and a burly wood coffee table. There was a girl with brown hair behind the table, right across where their head drooped. Roseanne! Let's go! Even though security company is just a guise, isn't this? Just too unprofessional. How long has this place been out of business? Right, you guys don't need any business. Klein, because they are a police branch. Klein drew closer as he complained silently, and knocked on the table just beside the girl's ear. The brown-haired girl sat up immediately and swiftly took the newspaper in front of her, covering her face. Dingen City Honest Paper. Nice name. Klein silently read the title of the page facing him. Facing him? Oh, yeah. The paper facing Klein, yeah. The steam train service, Soaring Express, that directly reaches Constant City, is starting operations today. Steam train! Let's fucking go! Oh, come on. Then will there be one that goes straight to Brindisi Bay? I really don't want to take the ship there again. It's too awful, really awful. Hey, who are you? The girl with brown hair read pretentiously and gave her opinion. As she spoke, she lowered the newspaper and revealed her bright forehead and light brown eyes, leaving Klein with a warning and startled look. Hello, I'm Klein Moretti. Hello, I'm John Mysteries. And I'm here at the invitation of Don Smith, Klein said as he took down his hat to his chest and bowed slightly. The brown-haired girl looked up in her early 20s. Really? She's early 20s. She wore a light green Loen-style dress. She was accentuated by the beautiful laces on her sleeves, collar and chest. The captain. All right, wait here for a moment. I'll go get him. The girl scurried up and went into the room beside her. Oh, I agree with you, Riddick. I low-key agree with you. I've been saying this a lot. I'm gonna say it again. I like slow-burning stuff, and that's why, for example, old Neil's death, I was crying so hard. But for Don Smith and, you know, Klein, and also Melissa and Benson at the end, I only teared up. It's because everything has happened so fast. You know what I mean? She didn't even serve a cup of water or anything. The level of service awareness is worrying. Klein is such a Karen, man. Fair enough. Klein smiled faintly as he waited at his spot. After 2 or 3 minutes, the brown-haired girl opened the door and came out. She said with a sweet smile, Mr. Moretti, please follow me. Captain is on a watch at the Chinese gate and is unable to leave at the moment. Okay, Klein quickly followed behind. In his mind, he pondered to himself, Chinese gate, what could that be? Going through the partition, the first thing we saw was a small corridor, with only 3 offices on each side. Some of these offices were locked tightly while some were opened, revealing someone on the inside who typed non-stop on a heavy mechanical typewriter. Ooh, that's Fry, I think. At glance, Klein noticed a familiar figure, the young officer that had investigated his apartment. Oh, never mind. This is Leonard. The one with the black hair, green eyes, and romantic vibe of a poet who also looks gay. He was not in official wear. His white-collared shirt was not tucked in, making for quite an unruly appearance. Perhaps he is a poet. He's a wannabe poet. Klein nodded in greeting and was greeted with a smile. The brown-haired girl pushed open the left office door at the end of the room and pointed out inside, chirping, We still have to go down a few levels. Says the poet. Yep. We are now caught up with the manhua. Really? Damn. Damn, that's crazy. Yeah. We are a little bit gay. The office had no furniture and placed on a grayish white stone staircase that extended downwards. The 2 sides of the stairs were lit up by cast lamps. The table glow dispelled the darkness and gave a sense of harmony. Brown-haired girl walked in front, staring at her feet. Royale? No, wait. Brown-haired... Oh, Roseanne. Yeah. This is still Roseanne. I thought we saw maybe someone else. The brown-haired girl walked in front, staring at her feet. It's interesting. She hasn't given her name yet. Why not? Can't stop picturing how beautiful this would have been anime. Yeah. The grayish white stone staircase that extended downwards. The brown-haired girl walked in front, staring at her feet while looking carefully. Although I walk here often, I'm still constantly afraid of falling down. Tumbling down like a barrel. You don't know, Lena did such a folly. On the first day of becoming sleepless, the first day where he had not mastered his new powers, he tried to rush down the flight of stairs, and he became a cartwheel. It was hilarious if you think about it. Ow, 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 ow. Oh yes, he was the guy who greeted you just now. This was about 3 years ago. Speaking of which, I have seen the Nighthawks for 5 years. I have been with the Nighthawks since 5 years. I was only 17 when I joined. So she is 22 now. Right? The girl watched her steps as she spoke. Suddenly she smacked her forehead and said, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Roseanne. My father was a member of the Nighthawks. Aw, rip. Who sacrificed himself in the accident 5 years ago. In an accident 5 years ago. I suppose we're college from now on. Yeah, college is the right word. We're not teammates since we're not beyonders. Oh my god, she's so awkward. I like her. The accent? Am I doing a good job? Legal? Bro. I noticed, Merlin. Hermes. I noticed. You're really horny in chat. I hope that I have the honor, but still it depends on what Mr. Smith has to say, Klein said as his eyes stopped the enclosed surroundings. He felt that they were going underground. Dampness seeped out from the stone walls, that dispelling the summer heat. Don't worry, the fact that you came so far means the captain has agreed. I've always been a little afraid of him, even though he's amiable, a fatherly figure. I don't know why, but I'm still afraid. Roseanne spoke as though there was a piece of sweet in her throat. Oh damn. They're not hiding it anymore, yep. Klein answered humorously, isn't being afraid of a father normal? True, Roseanne said as she held the wall around the bend. As they spoke, the two finished walking down the stairs and reached the stone-paved floor. It's a long aisle. Both sides of the walls were mounted with gas lamps, surrounded by metal gratings. Klein and Roseanne's shadows were elongated until the illumination. Klein keenly noticed that there was a dark sacred emblem every few meters, the symbol of Emerald Goddess. Ooh. A deep black background dotted with sparkling embellishments as they clustered precisely half the crimson moon. These emblems did not seem special, but walking between them gave Klein a sense of serenity. Roseanne also stopped talking, unlike her previous talkative state. Ooh. Praised the lady. Before long, intersection appeared up front of Roseanne. Roseanne briefly introduced. The path to the left will lead to the Saint Celine's Cathedral. To the right, the armory, storeroom, and archives, and straight ahead is the Chinese gate. Ooh, Saint Celine. Saint Celine, I think, was a high sequence performer in the Nighthawks, like maybe sequence 4, 3, or something like that, on the Sleepless pathway. Saint Celine's Cathedral, then Sutherland Street is suspend Red Moonlight Street. Klein was a little stunned. Nobody but you mentioned Lust? Who's mentioned Lust? Me? You're making me enjoy it to death with the accent. What does so the accent is good, okay. Saint Celine's Cathedral of Red Moonlight Street was the headquarters of the Church of Evernight in Dingen. Ah. A sacred ground where maybe sequence 2 or 3 then even. A sacred ground where the local followers during the visit. Along with Holy Numeric's Cathedral of the Surge of the Gods team and machinery in the suburbs, and the River and Sea Cathedral of the Surge and Storms in North Dingen, to sustain the religious circles in Dingen City and its affiliated towns and villages. Aware that his statue status made it unsuitable for him to ask more, Klein only listened silently. They passed on the intersection and moved straight ahead. In less than a minute, a black iron split gate guarded with 7 sacred emblems was seen. Oh, Chinese gate maybe? It stood there, heavy golden ring like a giant guarding the darkness. Chinese gate. Wait, Chinese gate. Roseanne reminded him and pointed at the room beside them, saying, "Captain is inside. Go on, by yourself." All right, thank you, Klein replied politely. The room Roseanne was referring to was just in front of Chinese gate. The windows were open, revealing the lit room inside. Klein took a deep breath to calm himself. "Come in," he heard Dunsmith's deep and amiable voice. Klein opened the unlatched door gently. There was only a table and 4 chairs inside. Ugh. Only? I can imagine that looks like a prison cell. Dunsmith with his high hairline was wearing the black coat from the previous night, was a gold watch chain around his chest, was reading a newspaper leisurely. "Come and have a seat. Have you decided? Are you certain you want to join us?" Dan smiled and asked as he put down the newspaper. Klein removed his hat and bowed. Then he sat beside the table and said, "Yes, I am certain." Then take a look at this deed. People like to call it the contract now. Dan pulled out the table drawer and took out the contract copies. There were not many clauses, and most of them had been mentioned by Dunsmith. The emphasis was on the confidential clause. Violators were tried in the tribunal courts of the Church of Evernight instead of the kingdom's courts. It was akin to how soldiers and officers were sent to court martial for trials. A 5-year contract, £2 and 10 solely for weekly wages, 10 solely as compensation for the risk and confidentiality. Klein read through it and answered resolutely, "I have no problem with it." Then sign it. Dunsmith, as he pointed to the dark red fountain pen and ink. Klein used a piece of waste paper to dry out the pen before drawing a breath. He signed on both contracts and with his name, Klein Moretti. Oh my god, the details are insane, by the way. Because like Klein used a piece of waste paper to dry out the pen. I love reading books, man. I never read a lot of books before this web novel. Maybe the donghua helped me put an image in my head, but I don't know about you guys, but when you read web novels, is your like mind picturing the scenery? Mine is, right? And I can picture Klein writing on a waste paper. I don't know why. It's so cool. As he did not have a stamp yet, he could only use his thumbprint. Dunn received the contract, took out the stamp from the drawer and stamped on the end of the contract in a few key parts. With that done, he stood up and returned the contract with one hand and reached for Klein with the other, saying, "Welcome, from now on you are one of us. And please note that the contract is confidential as well." Klein stood up as well. He received the contract, shook his hand and said, "So, I shall be addressing you as captain?" "Yes." Dunn's strange eyes seemed especially deep in the dim surroundings. Power of imagination. Yeah. I never realized how good I can imagine things. Maybe donghua helped a lot, I don't know. After shaking his hand, they sat down. Klein glanced at the stamp on the contract. It read, "Nighthawk Team, Tingen City, Awa Country, Loan Kingdom." Awa? "You can't believe you guys will use the name Blackthorn Security Company as a disguise," he laughed and said. "Actually, we have other signboards." Dunn pulled out a piece of paper from the drawer. It was stamped with the stamps of the city government and police department. The contents were as follows: 7th Unit Special Operations Department, Awa Country, Police, Loan Kingdom. Yeah. But the first 4 units are the regular police responsible for general security, like the VIP Protection Unit and Key Installations Protection Unit. And from the 5 onwards, the ones dealing with supernatural incidents in each city. Our unit is responsible for incidents related to the followers of Evernight Goddess in Dingen. If there are different types of followers, then we divide the area accordingly. We are mainly in charge of the places like Northwest and Golden Indus region. Good to know, actually. Okay. Good to know. Actually, yeah. Dunn briefly introduced Unit 6 of the mandated Punisher Squad under the Church of Storms is in charge of Bia region, the east and the south. The university area and suburbs are under Unit 5, which is the machinery hive mind squad in Tingen. Okay. Mandated Punisher Squad. Okay. Right. Glenn had no question about it. They then laughed. "What happens if someone really comes here to the Blackthorn Security Company signboard and request for our services?" "Well, we take those requests. Why shouldn't we? As long as it doesn't affect our daily operations," Dunn said slowly and humorously. "Any earnings will be considered additional bonuses, so our members are quite willing to take those jobs." Oh, that's good, actually. Oh my god. Any earnings will be, additional bonuses, or members are willing to take those jobs. Anyway, the market for trivial and troublesome matters such as finding dogs and cats have been monopolized by private detectives. "So how many people are there in Nighthawk's team?" Klein asked, since they were on this topic. "There aren't many supernatural incidents, so there are even fewer beyonders. There are only 6 foreign members of the Nighthawks in the entire Tingen City, including me. As for civilian staff, there are 6 including you." Wait, civilian staff, you only know 1? We're gonna meet more people then. I know that his head eventually asked the question that he was most concerned about. "So, Captain, what do you mean by beyonders losing control? Why does this happen?" Okay, cool. Damn, that was sudden end. We are done 17 chapters. And Klein formally joined the Nighthawks as a civilian staff member. Now, I'm seriously loving this because up to this point, or up to chapter 14, everything that I have read so far has been from the donghua. We're getting new stuff, and I'm actually inside my body, I'm excited, bro. I might just do a fucking 12-hour stream, maybe, I don't know. But I'm excited. I wanna read more. Oh my god. And maybe the super glazer. In my experience, those are the best reading experiences that they give these types of notes in one table. 3 types of notes. Yeah, we have a big note. We're gonna revive the note soon when a lot of info starts going. We have a whole Google Doc of notes right now. I have to just sit down. We can do it on a stream and I don't know, when we reach chapter 50 maybe. I might sit down and update my notes with you guys. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm gonna go take a little bathroom break, guys. So let me copy this thing. And then right back, bathroom break. You can see that, right? Okay. Be back like 4 or 5 minutes. Yo. How are you guys? Okay. Tao or Bizarre drives the readers mad. Good to know. What's up, guys? Chapter 18, Origin and Cause. Now, Klein is officially part of the Nighthawks, though he's a civilian member. This is where it gets really exciting because this is completely new. This stuff that happens now is not in the donghua, so I'm super excited for this. Guys, question, is Lord of Mysteries your favorite web novel? This is my first web novel, so it is my favorite. Anyway, upon hearing Klein's question, Don looked out of the window toward the corridor that led to Chinese gate. He took out his pipe, stuffed it with some tobacco and mint leaves, and held it to his nose. He took a deep whiff as his voice turned reflective and drifting. Only at home I can enjoy the beautiful flavors of tobacco mixed with mint leaves without any worries. Klein, do you know about the creation myth? Ooh, okay. This is good. We're gonna be taught by Unc Smith. Of course, when I received primary education during Sunday school, we learned to read using the revelation of Evernight, among them the Book of Wisdom. Ooh, scary. And the letters from the saints mentioned the myth of creation. Klein attempted to recall via the memory fragments of the original Klein. He slowed down his tempo and said, the creator awoke from chaos and shattered his darkness, carrying the first ray of light. He then fused himself completely into universe, made up of all of existence. His body became the land and stars, one of his eyes became the sun, whilst the other became a crimson moon. Some of his blood rushed into the seas and rivers, nourishing and nurturing lives. Myth of creation. All myths and creations have some kind of base to them, by the way. Damn. Klein subsequently paused when he said that. Partially, it was because the relevant memories were blurred, and the creation myth was very similar to the Chinese creation myth of... Ooh! The creation myth was very similar to the Chinese creation myth of Bangu. Rosell made it up, or what? Oh, let's read about Bangu, guys. It's a primordial being of creation figure. According to legend, Bangu separated heaven and earth. Its body later became geographic features as mountains and flowing water. Look, this is Bangu, guys. Three Kingdoms period. Who has seen Three Kingdoms Chinese show? It's so good, guys. Cosmic egg. In the beginning, there was nothing, and the universe was in featureless, formless, primordial state. This primordial state coalesced into a cosmic egg. All the mysteries cultivation. Origin. That's cool. I feel like this is before Rosell's time. So are the similarities just a coincidence? The C word, guys. Is the creation myth of Bangu and the creation myth of the myth of creation a coincidence, guys? I think so. The imaginations of people from different worlds shared something in common with their myths and legends. Noticing that Klein was having trouble, Dunn smiled and added, His lungs turned into elves, his heart turned into giants, his liver turned into tree ants, his brain turned into dragons, his kidneys turned into feathered serpents, his hair turned into the phoenixes, his ears turned into demonic wolves. Ooh! His mouth and teeth turned into mutants, and his remaining bodily fluids turned into the sea monsters, of which the essence was Naga. Damn. His stomach is small and large intestines, and the evil parts of his body turned to devils, evil spirits and various kinds of unknown, maleficent existences. His spirits became eternal blazing sun, the lord of storms, and the god of knowledge and wisdom. Chills, damn. That's crazy. You're getting 2 full-sized ads, unlucky. Ads are automatic. It's every 20 minutes. His wisdom gave birth to humanity. That was the first epoch, the chaos epoch. Klein finished the last sentence for Dunn, but he found it funny and ridiculous. As a keyboard folklorist, Joe Mysteries. It was the first time he came in contact with creation myth that was arranged in such great detail. It was so detailed that almost every prominent trace corresponded to a particular body part of the creator. Yeah, that's crazy. It's a children's song with children sitting in row and eating fruit. Furthermore, it was not only mentioned in the canon of the Evernight Goddess. The churches of the Lord of Storms and God of Steam and Machinery also had similar descriptions. None of them alleviated themselves or devalued other gods. This either means that the creation myth is real, or hints that the few churches had undergone a long period of strife before compromising before the 5th epoch. Yeah, I mean, I think everything in the 4th epoch, the Evernight Goddess became an orthodox god, right? So it has to be around that time. With this in mind, Klein suddenly had another question. He asked with Drown, if it's problematic, why are the eternal blazing sun, Lord of Storms and God of Knowledge and Wisdom born directly from the Creator Spirit, while the goddess isn't? Okay, Klein asking questions, I like that. The revelation of Evernight periodical records, the Evernight Goddess had only awoken at the end of 2nd epoch. Together with Lord of Storms, eternal blazing sun and other gods, she blessed and helped humanity survive the cataclysm. It was also known as the 3rd epoch, as the Catalyst epoch. Okay. I am 99% sure that these gods used to be high sequence beyonders until they reached sequence 1. It was during that time that the Earth Mother and the God of Combat appeared as well. As for the God of Steam and Machinery, whose original name was the God of Craftsmanship, he was born only to the 4th epoch. Okay. In that sense, standing among the gods seemed self-evident. The ones who were more ancient were more orthodox. It was extremely clear. This was troubles the believers of the Evernight Goddess. This also troubled the believers of the Evernight Goddess. Don Smith held his pipe in another hand, and instead of answering, he turned to the question. Repeat the goddess's full title. Damn. Klein immediately felt like he had stabbed himself in the knife. He racked his brains and tried the best to recall. The Evernight Goddess stands higher than the cosmos and more eternal than eternity. She's also the Lady of Crimson, the Mother of Concealment, the Empress of Misfortune and Horror, Mistress of Repose and Silence. Oh my god, that's a long-ass title, dude. Thankfully, Klein's mother was a devout believer of the Evernight Goddess. When she was still alive, she would recite this every evening at dinner, even though the memories of original Klein had fragmented, not all lost. Wow. Damn. What the fuck, Nightwalker? Take that back. What does the Lady of Crimson symbolize? Talon asked the guiding tone. The red moon. The moment Klein answered, they immediately understood. Oh! Then what part did the red moon come from? Asked Tom with a smile. A single eye! True! True! Klein and Tom smiled at each other. This was way less impressive than the Lord of Storms, who was formed from a third of the Greater Spirit. As for churches of Earth Mother and the God of Combat, they likely had similar explanations. However, the God of Steam and Machinery had been born too late to find a reason. Thus, their church had been weak in past 1,000+ years. It was only within the invention of the steam engine that they seized the opportunity to truly be on the par with other gods. Interesting. Roselle is investing in the God of Steam. What's it called again? God of Steam and Machinery stonks. Anyway, or he made them go up. Anyway, so basically, the creation of myth was older than Evernight Goddess, I think, and she took a chance to use that so she can fit into the story. You know what I mean? Wow. That was so cool. This conversation between Dunn and Klein, amazing. Dunn stroked his pipe. Dunn can stroke my pipe. Humanity was born out of the wisdom of the Creator. So we can have clever and extraordinary brains, but lack other magical powers. God. However, on the creation myth, we can form a simple but clear conclusion. Everything stems from us, from the same origin. Yeah, true. Stems from the same origin. Klein repeated the last few words. According to this conclusion, humans who are protected by the gods were able to resist. The giants, devils, and the mutants. Gradually they figured out means to obtain the power of the Beyonders, that is using the corresponding parts of evil spirits, dragons, monsters, magical trees, flowers, or crystals, and combining them with other materials to form potions. By consuming and absorbing the potion, one will gain different powers. This is common knowledge among mysticism studies. I see, okay. Dunn did not elaborate in detail and only gave a brief introduction. In this process, our ancestors relied on painful lessons to discover that if they were to consume high-grade or extraordinary potions, it will easily lead to tragic consequences. There are 3 possible outcomes. Arndo now is the horny one. Sorry. Which 3? Pressed Klein curiously. First, mental death and the complete breakdown of body. Every piece of flesh would become a terrifying monster. Yeah, remember Sirius? When Sirius turned, like his whole and remember Bieber and stuff? I mean, Bieber's situation was different, but Sirius is like a blob of flesh. Ugh. Terrifying monster. Also Havre as well, remember Havre? Second, the personality will become changed by the powers contained in the potion. They will turn cold, sensitive, irascible, cruel, and indifferent. Third, well... Don put down his pipe and picked up a fork-filling cup. Took a sip. Thermo coffee from Bass River. Valley is bitter, but very fragrant. It leaves a splendid aftertaste. Do you want one? Oh, he did not say. He cut it short. Okay. I prefer coffee from Veina Snapper, but Tao, of course. Only drank it a few times at Felsh's place. Klein politely declined. What's the third outcome? Any coffee enjoyers in chat, by the way? Come on, don't talk about old Neil like that, guys. Any coffee enjoyers? Mental disorder, turning crazy on the spot, becoming more devilish than the devil. This is what it means to be losing control. Don emphasized the words, losing control. Without waiting for Klein to say a word, he put down his coffee cup and continued. After a long period of explanation and exploration, together with the birth of the blasphemy slate, humans have finally perfected the potion system. We formed a tiered system that changed into stable progression path known as sequences. I slowed down right now, guys, because this is good info, right? The lower this number in sequences, the higher the grade of a potion. At this point, the 7 major churches each control at least one complete sequence. Besides, there's also an incomplete path that they gathered over the past hundreds or thousand years. Wow. I wonder what goes into a sequence 1 potion. You know what I mean? 100 milliliters of baby's blood. I don't know, like something ridiculous like that, right? Old Neil juice. I'm gonna unmod you, man. Old Neil. Shut the fuck up. Anyway. At least one commit sequence, Vasim Slate, Klein sharply noticed the derm. At the gathering, the Hanged Man also mentioned it. According to the Hanged Man, the Blasphemy Slate was the most critical factor of a potion system, formation and completion. That seemed to contradict what Tan said earlier. Interesting. Those were things created by some evil gods, as for which era it appeared, what it contains, or what's so special about it. I am unsure as well. If you discover any clues, you have to immediately report it to me. It deserves the highest level of response, said Tan vaguely. I mentioned one of the types of losing control. I'll now tell you the remaining 4. Alright, Klein pushed the question of the blasphemous slate to the back of his mind and listened attentively. Is there a story about the blasphemy slate that's real, and are there also rumors about it or something? Alright, Klein pushed the question. Okay. Although humans have clearer minds, they lack extraordinary powers. It is not absolute. There are always a few lucky ones. Perhaps I should call them the unlucky ones. They are born with relatively higher perception. Well, it also means the ability to sense spirits. They can hear voices that others cannot hear and see things that others cannot see. They have potential characteristics of beyonders. Now, there's a problem. What I've realized, that Klein was hearing voices before he became a beyonder and after he became a beyonder, right? So this doesn't mean that it comes from the same person. I think there are voices that he hears because of the grey fog, and there are voices that he hears because of the seer pathway. And on the seer pathway, I think the voices he hears are from Saratul, but we don't know what other murmurings are from the grey fog. I do think that Hornatsis and Phlegrea are, I'm guessing, maybe from the seer pathway. We know what Hornatsis is. Hornatsis is a mountain range. Phlegrea might be a location, but I was thinking about this. Phlegrea might also be a person or a thing. It doesn't have to be location, just like how Hornatsis is, you know what I mean? So I wonder if we're gonna find out about Phlegrea in the second volume. Anyway. Perhaps you should call them unlucky. Wait, what? They are born with relative higher perception, but it also means the ability to sense spirits. They can hear voices that others cannot hear and see things that others cannot see. They have partial characteristics of others. Is this the same guy who was on the marketplace who went crazy? Does that guy have high spiritual perception? But he's not a beyonder, right? While Dunn spoke, he looked at the empty air around him and watched Klein shudder in fear. In other words, if they are half a sequence time beyonder and have fixed characteristics... Oh, sequence sign is the lowest grade in the chain. In short, they can only choose a corresponding fixed sequence path. Exactly. Inns was like, nope, I'm gonna break that cycle. It's where you consume other potions. That effects might range from mental disorders to a loss of control or even worse, death. Got it. Klein nodded slowly. Third kind is similar to the second kind. Once you choose a sequence chain, you will not be forced to go down the path. You will be forced to go down that path. There will be no room for regret. If you were to consume potions from the corresponding sequence of other paths, there will be a high probability that you will mix unusual and warped powers. But it's almost certain that you will be in semi-deranged state, sensitive and irascible, cruel and bloodthirsty, and silent and melancholic. Interesting. And there's only one more opportunity. After that, regardless if you consume... There is only one such opportunity. After that, regardless if you consume the potion from the original path or potions on the present sequence, the only result is loss of control. The outcome could then be mental death. Alternatively, the body breaks down into monsters or even transforms into evil spirits. As Dunn spoke, he lifted his coffee cup to take a sip. Damn, okay. Whew. Klein, who turned alarmed and fearful after hearing this, fell silent for a few seconds before asking, what about the fourth kind? The fourth kind, hehe. It is the most common problem. When we consume potions to gain powers that originally belong to extraordinary beings, we undergo an unnatural transformation. Therefore, we could be more or less affected by the remnant spiritual powers. While perhaps the symptoms might not manifest and are undetectable to others, it will definitely lurk in one's mind. If one rushes to consume the corresponding potion ranked higher in the sequence before fully grasping the extraordinary powers, the potion brings and eliminates the subtle traces. The madness will accumulate, increasing the chance of losing control. Don suddenly fell silent. After a short pause, he said with a sigh, "As per internal rules of Nighthawks, even if a teammate were to make great contribution, they must have consumed the last potion 3 years ago and examined before they can be promoted. Even so, there are still many who lose control every year. Dolly is an exception." And also, I think, yeah, I mean, Dolly knew about the acting method, but, you know, she signed an NDA. She couldn't tell anyone about it. Terrifying. Klein drew a grasp as he asked, "Then what about the final kind?" There was no trace of a smile despite Don's curved lips. Damn, that's creepy. There was no trace of a smile despite Don's curved lips. The fifth kind is the most common reason for lost control. For Beyonders, one's spiritual perception will be enhanced more or less. The smaller the number in the sequence, the more enhanced their perception. Therefore, they will fear what others cannot. Hear, see what others cannot see, and encounter things others will not encounter. They are constantly met with mysterious enticement and illusionary bewitchment. Once they overstimulate or have greedy desires, they will slowly go down the path of losing control. Wow. As he spoke, Duns looked straight at Klein, his grey pupils reflecting Klein's figure. His tone turned bleak as he said, "The founder of the Nighthawks, Archbishop Janis, once said, 'We are guardians, but also a bunch of miserable wretches that are constantly fighting against the threats and madness.'" Wow, that was a mouthful, dude. Damn. I love this. So we had a pretty... The music is too fancy, man. Send me new music in my Discord, guys. In stream chat. Anyway. The Witcher. Okay. Oh, if it's copyrighted, then I can't play it. Sorry. If you don't know, I'm not gonna play it. Anyway. The talk between Don Smith and Klein was chilling, to say the least, right? Absolute done. Let me read again. "We are guardians, but also a bunch of miserable wretches that are constantly fighting against threats and madness." Wow. Damn. I love that line so much. So we learned about the myth of creation, we learned about multiple ways of losing control, people who have high spiritual perception but are not controllers. So everything we learned we know so far. But I cannot wait to see next chapter when he starts his civilian duties, because that is new. So chapter 19, let's go right now after we found some music. Kami, I don't know who Kami is. Kami doesn't watch me, I think. I don't know who that is. Send me some music, please. This is nothing that maybe switch up from Expedition 33. Fantasy music for relaxation. That might be copyrighted. I'm not sure. Like from a game. You can loop. It was like too much lyrics, you know what I mean? Okay, let's try Hollow Knight. I never played Hollow Knight, so I don't know. We did Skyrim first stream. Silk Song or normal one? Normal one, right? The first one, I mean, not normal. Okay, this is an hour long. Let's listen to this for an hour, guys. Seems more calm. Is the sound good? Thank you for suggestions, though. I was gonna play this, but I'm not sure. It's not from a game, so it might be copyrighted. Sealed artifacts. I will make my own music library in the future. I wanna. Just haven't gotten around to it. A bit higher. Better? We're gonna continue in a minute, guys. Okay, let's go. Great, okay. Coffee is peak, but you're drinking tea? I'd never drink tea. I'm so uncultured. Drinking wine. Holy shit. We have an intellectual. Dude, I should come in with a wine class next time. I don't drink alcohol though. I never drink alcohol, so maybe not. Alcohol-free wine, maybe? That would be such a big brain. Sealed artifacts. We are guardians, but also a bunch of miserable wretches that are constantly fighting against dangers and madness. The corridor outside the window was sealed, its walls ice cold. The room was illuminated with bright yellow lights. Delivery echoed, sending blow after blow to Klein's heart. It left him temporarily at loss for words. Damn! Wow. Don shook his head and smiled when he saw Klein silent. Are you very disappointed? Beyonders are not like what you imagined them to be. They're always treading alongside danger. There's always a price to any gain. Klein recovered from his shock as he answered with quivering voice. It was true that he never imagined that the halo of normality and the inordinary aspects of Beyonder would have such hidden threats. Perhaps it was only because he was hearing a description without witnessing it firsthand, and that he had been sucked into the vortex with a peculiar incident already befalling him. Klein soon brought his fear, uneasiness, worry, and apprehension under control. Of course, the thought of shrinking back was inevitable. It lingered around and refused to leave. Not bad, very mature and rational. Don finished the last mouthful of coffee and added, also, Beyonders are not powerful as you imagine them to be, especially low sequence Beyonder. Heh. Why would we use 1 to represent the highest grade and 9 to the lowest? Isn't it against intuition and logic? The low sequence we often mention refers to low grade or a high number. They are a starting point of the sequence chain. Yeah, true. I was wondering that too, man. Suit, hat, wine, and monocle? That's in fashion, right? Alright, where was I? The Beyonders are not powerful as you imagine. A low sequence Beyonder power is no match for guns, much less cannons. They are just more fascinating and indefensible than firearms. If you have a chance to become a Beyonder in the future, you must consider what it said today carefully. Do not make a rash decision. Klein gave a self-deprecating smile. I wonder, like, if Klein would have chosen this path of still being a civilian member and maybe getting a potion from, for example, Olger, would he be able to keep it a secret from Nighthawks? We know that's not the route he took, but imagine what if he did, you know what I mean? He felt that he would not miss the opportunity if it presented itself to him. Consuming the wrong potion or a higher ranked potion, the sequence could be mostly avoided. The major potential danger was the subtle influences the potion had and what he experienced from having heightened auditory and visual perceptions. For the former, he could draw on the experience from generations of people before him, as long as he was not in a rush to advance himself and patiently grasp control over his powers. The chances of losing control were relatively low. Furthermore, he still had to resolve the potential problem that currently faced. He had to understand the essence of mysticism and seek a way to transmigrate back. The essence of mysticism shall be taught by old Neil, the goat. These were the underlying reasons for taking the first step. He did not aim for higher sequence spots. If it was easy to lose control, he could just forget the advancement, stay in his original sequence, and rely on knowledge to plan a way home. We need more soft music. Can you raise your volume of your voice? If I do that, it will become really muffled. It's already max, I think. I can try this. I don't know if it is going to be better or not. Okay, this song, it doesn't... Okay, that was too hype, guys. To lose control, he could just forget about advancement, stay in his original sequence, and rely on knowledge to plan a way home. It was needless to elaborate on the potential risks. Back when Klein held the luck enchantment ritual, he was nearly driven crazy. The murmurings that nearly blew up his head were still fresh in his mind. So these murmurings were different than he gets... Were those murmurings Phlegrea and Tornazis or not? I was always thinking it's because of the seer pathway. But like I said, I think there are multiple murmurings. There are the ones he gets in the Grey Fog, and because of Grey Fog, and the one he gets because of the Grey pathway, the seer pathway. They were not avoidable by not becoming a Beyonder. Therefore, it was better to gain power that allowed him to defend himself. With this in mind, Klein felt that the pros clearly outweighed the cons. It made his thoughts of the trouble almost disappear. Don picked up his pipe again, and the Skrysar carried a smiling trace to them. I cannot give you an accurate answer on this. To become a Beyonder, firstly, you must make enough contributions. Perhaps tomorrow or the day after, you will be able to interpret critical ancient documents. Maybe you could be able to give us valuable ideas for one of our cases. Secondly, it depends on the arrangements of the higher-ups. No one can be sure. Alright, I believe you should know quite a little bit about Beyonders now. In the future, do not make a rash decision. Now, I'll introduce you to our Nighthawks team, civilian jobs. He stood up and walked out the door. He pointed the opposite direction of Chinese Gate and said, "You have an accountant and someone else who is in charge of procuring necessities and collecting supplies handed both by the church and the police department, while standing in the carriage driver." Standing in as a carriage driver, who would that be? They're professionals and do not need to take shifts, so they can rest on the weekends. The other three civilian staff are Roseanne, Brett, and Old Neil. Ooh, so we now know 4 of them. I mean, Old Neil, of course, from before, Roseanne before, but Brett and the carriage guy. Okay. Their jobs include attending to visitors, cleaning the rooms, and writing case files, inventory, registration lists. They also guard the memory storeroom and the archives, strictly enforcing the registration should someone wish to enter. Take out or return an item, each of them has 1 day of a week, other than Sundays. They negotiate among themselves on the arrangements on night shifts and rest days. So, is my job scope the same as Roseanne and the rest? Klein swept away his thoughts about Beyonders and tried to clarify his job responsibilities. No, there's no need. You're a professional, said Don with a smile. You currently have 2 tasks. First, every morning or afternoon, go take a stroll outside. Focus on various streets that lead from Belch's place to yours. What? Klein was dumbfounded. What kind of job is this? Is that very professional? I mean, the only thing important for us right now is for Klein to get his memories back about the suicide. It's just noises, do you understand? Oh, the Grey Fog murmurings? Yeah. You haven't heard Hornach's murmurings yet in the novel? True, okay. That's why the murmurings wasn't translated. Here's your first direct where you read the first 14 chapters. It's coming out today. On YouTube, I'm gonna start uploading my votes today. But right now it's on Patreon. Don inserted his hands into the pockets of his black trench coat and said, After you confirm that you have lost your memories, they will close the case on Welsh and Naya. Similarly, the diary of the Antigonus family has vanished completely. We suspect that you brought it with you. You might have hidden it on your way home, which might be why he did not find any clues at your place. This is also likely the reason why you were not there and chose to commit suicide at home. Interesting. Yeah, we know that Bieber has it though. Although you were mysteriously influenced and have forgotten this piece of memory, the human spirit and brain is very fascinating, so there might be residual traces. Darling might not be able to attain them through her means as a medium, but does not mean that they do not exist. Perhaps you will feel a sense of deja vu at a familiar and critical spot. True, Dan is thinking. That's what we wish to obtain. Got it, Klein was enlightened. The Nighthawk's deduction of the diary location was indeed reasonable. He was the one alive among the people involved. Only he had the time and motive to take the diary away and hide it on his way back. If you can find the diary, and this way you'll likely make enough of a contribution to become Beyonder, encouraged Dunn indirectly revealing the importance of the diary. I hope, Klein nodded. Dunn changed his subject again. Secondly, you get a day off every week. You can decide which day it is for now. When you're not outside, go to your armory and read the literature and canon books. This is a job for a professional historian. When you finish them, you'll have to begin taking shifts with Old Neil and the rest. Alright, no problem. Klein heaved a sigh of relief. So we have our tasks now. And I think at one point, I don't remember this from Money News, but I think Regents is gonna start following him around, and we're gonna have like a whole detective arc of Klein figuring out who is stalking him, right? Every 20 minutes, you're just unlucky, man. You guys got ads? Yeah, if you tab out and in, you get automatically, I think. Anyway, so Klein has his tasks on hand, and it's just walking around, right? Now, like I said, I think we're gonna see a mention of Regents at one point. In the donghua, we clearly saw Regents tailing Klein in the first like 10 minutes of the episode when he was going to get bread and went to the divination place. Anyway, and he said that's how, yeah, that's remember like pieces like that. So it's gonna be exciting to see what happens. I'm saying it like 4 times, but I low-key regret watching the Onion News cut content videos. You know what I mean? It is not something too difficult. At this moment, Tan turned his body halfway and pointed to the black outward swinging gates that was engraved with 7 sacred emblems. Oh, because, yeah, the 7 Orthodox gods, right? This Chinese gate is named after the creator of modern Nighthawk system, Archbishop Chinese. There is one under the central cathedral of every major city. Okay. It's guarded by normal Nighthawk members on rotation inside. There are at least 2 keepers who are sent by the search, as well as countless traps. You must not approach it under any circumstances, otherwise misfortune will befall you. This sounds scary, Klein expressed his feelings. The area inside is divided into few zones stored within the few certain potion formulas for certain sequences and other magical materials. It's also used to temporarily hold heretics, mutants, cultists, and members of secret organization. They will eventually be sent to the Holy Cathedral, introduced Dunn in passing. Holy Cathedral, the headquarters of the Church of Midnight, located in Winter County, the north of the kingdom. Cathedral of Serenity? Klein nodded slightly as though he was pondering over the matter. In addition, there are all sorts of classified documents and records inside. When you gain a higher clearance, you might have a chance of reading them. Dunn hesitated for a moment before adding, behind the Chinese gate, there are also sealed artifacts in the basement. Damn, okay. Sealed artifacts? Klein ruminated on the terms. Sounded like a specialized term. Some of the extraordinary items we gather and retrieve are just too important and magical. If they fall into the wrong hands, it will cause immense destruction. Therefore, we have to keep it strictly confidential and watch them carefully. Wait. I should look up Hollow Knight ambience. Why didn't I do that before? Why do I get this epic music? I think this is better. This is better, guys. For now, right? Therefore, we have to keep it strictly confidential and watch them carefully. Even we can use it under special circumstances. Besides, with that done, pause for a moment before continuing. Besides, there are some things inside that are very special, that there are certain living characteristics which can entice the keepers. It will influence surroundings, attempt escape, and cause catastrophic outcomes. They have to be strictly controlled. How fascinating, Commander Klein wistfully. Nighthawk's headquarters have categorized these sealed artifacts into 4 grades. Grade 0 represents extremely dangerous. They are of the highest importance and of the highest confidentiality. Like 008, they are not to be inquired, disseminated, described, or spied. They can only be sealed in the basement of the Holy Cathedral, described done in detail. Grade 1 is highly dangerous. Can be used in limited ways. Their security clearance is limited to diocesan bishops or nighthawks, deacons and above. The central cathedral of Teoki's headquarters, like Backland, can store 1 or 2 artifacts. The rest will be handled over the Holy Cathedral. Okay, interesting. Grade 2 is dangerous. They can be used with care and moderation. The security clearance requires 1 to be bishop or Nighthawks team's captain above. The central cathedrals in the various cities can store 3 to 5 artifacts. The rest will be turned to Holy Cathedral or the Tikos headquarters. Grade 3 is considerably dangerous. They have to be used carefully. It can be only requested for operations that require 3 or more people. The security clearance requires 1 to be a formal member of the Nighthawks. In the future, we'll see the corresponding documents. So it's 0 to 3. Through the numbers, you can understand what they represent. For instance, 2 of 125 means that it's dangerous grade sealed artifact number 125. Damn. CCP. Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked into CCP yet. I know it's like a really famous thing, but I just haven't done that. I know it's inspired by that though. CCP. What did I say? SCP. Oh, SCP. My bad. Yeah. SCP. Right? Not CCP. Sorry. My bad. The Chinese Communist Party, guys. SCP, yeah. You're right. I haven't looked too much into it. As Stan went on the sun, he turned around and turned to his room. He pulled out a piece of paper from the bottom of the drawer. By the way, take a look at this. 3 years ago, newly appointed Archbishop lost control. Wow, this was in episode 1. Sorry, this is in chapter 19. By the way, look at this. 3 years ago, newly appointed Archbishop lost control. For some unknown reason, he stormed through the various levels of protection and vanished mysteriously with a Great Zero sealed artifact. Memorize this photo. If you discover him, do not alert or disturb him. Return to report immediately, or the chance of you dying with line of duty is 1000%. Ints. What? Klein received a piece of paper. There were no title on it, just a black and white photo with a few lines of words. Ints Sanguil, male, 40 years old, former archbishop, a gatekeeper who failed in his promotion, was enticed by the devil and was corrupted. He escaped with sealed artifact 008. Particular traits are... That's crazy! Yeah, exactly. The picture is that Ints Sanguil is wearing an all-black clergyman robe with buttons on both sides, a soft cap. His hair was dark blonde and his pupils were blue, that it was nearly black. He had a high nose and his lips were lightly pursed. His facial features were like a classic sculpture, without any wrinkles. The most striking characteristic was he was blind in one eye. He was blind in one eye? Oh, I did not know that. Wait, was it also mentioned donghua? I forgot. It's the only place. Interesting. Description of the corrupted is so detailed, but the only thing about the sealed artifact is its code name. Klein honestly offered his first impression. He was, damn. There was a higher security clearance. The The search for sealed artifact number 008 is only described verbally and never written in words. Oh, damn. Even so, maybe I did know this, but I forgot, guys. How did you not know this? No. Even so, the description will be little said done with a high... Wait, what? Sorry. That's why it was the highest security clearance. The search for sealed artifacts number 008 is only described verbally and never in written words. Even so, the description will be little said done with a sigh. 008 appears to be common quill, but it does not need ink to write. That's all. Holy shit! Dan did not dive deeper into the topic. He dogged at the golden chain on his black trench coat and took out Corge's pocket watch of the same color. He clicked it open and took a glance before pointing outside. Damn, that's scary. Wow. Damn. This is actually like chilling. You know what I mean? And this is like someone said the only mention. Even though I think you should not have said that. I would have like found out myself. And it led up to that plot twist. In Donghua we had Feather in every episode, even though we didn't have a mention of 008 until the finale, right? I told you all you need to know. Go to the armory and find old Neil. Get him to arrange the documents that you need to read. He's no ordinary civilian clerk. He was once a formal member, but due to his advanced age, he failed to be promoted. His health is ailing, so it will no longer be suitable for him to handle cases. Furthermore, he does not wish to become eternal keeper or rest at home. All he wishes is to be accompanied by documents and records. Damn, okay, let's go. Wow, surprisingly, INS and 008 mentioned in chapter 19. I did not expect that, by the way. That was so chilling, though. Oh yeah, exactly, Bubble. In episode 10. Yeah. True. It was really obvious. But here it was only once, bro. That's crazy. Also, we're gonna meet old Neil now. I like how Dunn welcomed Klein officially, but also was warning him about things. Also, we have our tasks now, which Klein has to start remembering things. That's his work, by the way. Remember things. To get deja vu. Chapter 20. The Forgetful Dunn. Damn, okay. The Forgetful Aindu, apparently. Ince was blind in one eye. Yep. 1 second. We're gonna do at least 10 more chapters today. I think. Thoughts? What's up, Moon Yue? Moon Yue? Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Anyway. Okay, Klein bowed slightly as he wore his short top hat again. Short top hat? Huh? Wait, something is not adding up. Short top hat. However, his mind was preoccupied with how sealed artifact 008 looked. It appears to be just everyday quill, white without ink. Yeah. Then what is its actual use? What makes it classified at the highest level of confidentiality that it seemed extremely dangerous? Can it be pen that kills anyone whose name is written? Death Note reference! Let's fucking go! Can it be a... no, that will be a way too heaven-defying. Insang won't need to escape and hide away if that were the case. As this client turned around to leave, Tan suddenly shouted out to him. Hold on, I forgot something. Classic. What? Klein turned his head, his eyes puzzled. Tan put back his pocket watch and said with a smile. Later, remember to visit the accountant, Mrs. Oriana. This is a name. And get the advance payment of 4 weeks. In Donghua, Don Smith gave the payment, not Oriana. Total of 12 pounds. After that, you'll earn half your salary every week. The difference is covered. Wow, that's too much. There's no need for this. The amount should be reduced, said Klein subconsciously. Come on, take it, Klein. Come on. He had no objection towards an advance payment. After all, he didn't even have the money needed to pay for the public horse carriage trip home. However, to receive 12 pounds at once left him a little afraid. No, it's necessary, said Don as he shook his head and smiled. Think about it. Do you still wish to continue living in your present apartment? One that needs you to share a bathroom with so many other tenants. Even if you aren't taking yourself into consideration, think about the lady. Besides, think about Melissa. Wait. Think about it. Do you still wish to continue living in present apartment? One that needs you to share a bathroom with so many other tenants? Even if you aren't taking yourself into consideration, think about the lady. Besides, yeah. He paused when he saw Klein nod in agreement. He smiled and sized up Klein's scarves and said, with a meaningful intent, besides, you need to gain, and you should buy a new suit. Don is so wholesome, dude. Yeah, I wanna buy that book, Abiel. I'm gonna buy that next month, I think, on Amazon. People from my Discord have already bought it for themselves, and I wanna put it in my background. Here, you don't see it on this frame, but I wanna put the books in my shelf, and I wanna read them, you know? Klein was taken aback for a second before snapping back to reality. His face immediately burned with embarrassment since the suit he was wearing was cheap and of inferior quality. Typically, a top hat was made of silk, costing 5 to 6 soli. A bow tie was 3 soli. A walking cane inlaid with silver was 7 to 8 soli. A shirt was 3 soli, while pants and vest and tuxedo were around 7 soli in total. Damn, okay. Leather boots were 9 to 10 soli. As such, your entire suit cost more than 8 pounds and 7 soli. Damn, expensive suit. 3 soli is around $300, right? So a full set of suit costs 8, so that's 600, nearly $800. Damn. No? What do you mean no? Of course, to be presentable gentleman, one needed a watch, chain, a pocket watch, and a wallet. A pound is $100, so 3 pounds is $300. So 8 pounds is $800. The physical books have awesome illustrations. I'm gonna buy it. Back then, the original Klein and Benson scrimped and saved before managing to save up a pool of money. When they went to a clothing store to check the price, they ended up running off without even bothering to try haggling. They each bought a set at the bargain shop near Iron Cross Street for a total of less than 2 pounds. Damn. Are there any like second-hand shops, you know? It was also because of that incident that originally Klein had a deep impression of the price of clothes. Okay, Klein stammered a reply. He was like the original Klein. He was someone who's scared about his appearance. Don looked out the pocket watch again and clicked it open and a glance at it. Perhaps you should find Mrs. Oriana first. I know you'll spend quite some time at Old Neil's while Mrs. Oriana will likely be returning home soon. Alright, Klein was acutely aware of his state of poverty and did not object to it. He's aware that he's a brokey. Don returned to the table side and pulled a few hanging ropes as he said, I'll get Roseanne to bring you there. Ropes began their operation as gears ground, producing a chime from bell at the reception area of Blacktron Security Company. When Roseanne heard it, she early stood up and carefully made her way down. Damn, okay. It did not long before she appeared in front of Klein again. I wonder if we're gonna see Freya, Sika, Royale as well now. When we're going to Mrs. Oriana. Don said humorously, I did not disturb your rest, right? Oh, bring right into Mrs. Oriana. Roseanne secretly hurled her lips. She answered, happily. Alright, Captain. Happily. Alright, Captain. Is that all? At that moment, Klein blurted out in surprise. Oh, is that all? Klein blurted out in surprise. To get his advance payment from finance, isn't there need to get any approval letter from the captain? Shouldn't you write something? So... Don returned with a question. I mean, I need your signature to claim the advance payment from Mrs. Oriana. Klein tried his best to use simple language. Oh no, there's no need. Roseanne is enough proof. Don pointed at the brown-haired girl and gave a reply. Captain, it seems there's almost zero management of our own finances. Klein resisted his urge to deliver a sarcastic comment before turning to leave the room with Roseanne. Klein is sassy. Not sassy. Sassy. No, not this sassy. But Klein is sassy, man. I like that. At that moment, he heard Tan shout out again. Hold on, there's still another thing. One more thing? Can I finish it all at once? Klein turned back with a smiling face. Yes? Tan pressed his temple and said, when you meet old Neil, remember to collect 10 demon hunting bullets. Me? Demon hunting bullets? Klein returned in astonishment. Welch's revolver is still with you, right? There's no need for you to turn it in. Tan inserted a single hand into his pocket and said, with the demon hunting bullets, if you fear to face a paranormal danger, you will be able to protect yourself. It will give you some courage at the very least. I did say Klein was sassy, but I met Klein is sassy. Klein is breathable. There is no need for you to add. There's no need for you to add on the final sentence. As Klein was vexing over the problem, he answered without any hesitation. Alright, I'll remember to do so. This will require me to write the formal document. Wait a moment. Don sat down and picked up the dark red fountain pen. He scribbled a note, signed it, and stamped it. Thank you, Captain. Klein received it sincerely. He slowly walked back before turning around. Hold on. Don shouted one more time. Oh my god, this is a whole chapter dedicated to Don being forgetful, guys. I think so, right? Captain, you look to be in your 30s. Why do you have the symptoms of dementia? Klein squeezed out a smile and turned around to ask, anything else? I forgot earlier that you are not trained in shooting, so getting demon hunting bullets will be useless. Let's do this. Collect 30 normal bullets every day. Take the opportunity when you are out to go to the street corner, the underground shooting range at number 3 Suitland Street. Most of it belongs to the police department, but there is one that is specially for us Nighthawks. Oh, right, you also need to get a badge from old Neil, otherwise you won't be able to enter a shooting range. Dunn smacked his forehead and took back the note from Klein. He then added the information and stamped it with another seal. A good marksman is produced by expending bullets. Do not think lightly of it. Dunn handed back Klein the modified note. Got it. Klein, who was fearful of danger, yearned to visit the shooting range that very day. Damn. He was 2 steps away from the exit. No, not again! Not again! Is it gonna happen again? He took 2 steps towards the exit before carefully turning around halfway. He deliberated before asking, Captain, is there anything else? No. Dunn nodded firmly. Oh. Klein heaved a sigh of relief and walked straight of the door. While walking, he had a strong urge to turn around and ask another, are you sure there's nothing else? Dunn can do the funniest thing, by the way. He resisted the urge and finally left the keeper room successfully. Hardest obstacle passed, by the way. Captain has always been this way. He often forgets things. As Roseanne walked by his side, she softly disparaged the captain. Even my granny has a better memory than him, of course. He only forgets the trivial stuff. Yeah, trivial stuff. Klein, I'll call you Klein in the future. She's a yapper. Wow. Miss Ariana is very affable. Is a very affable person. Affable? Friendly. Oh. Mrs. Affable. I see. It is really easy to hit it off with her. Her father is a watchsmith with excellent skill. As Klein listened to the brown-haired girl right alone, he stepped into the stairwell and returned to the upper floor. He found Mrs. Oriana in the far office on the right-hand side. She was a black... New character, by the way, guys. She was a black-haired woman dressed in a flounced lace dress. She appeared in her 30s and had fashionable curly hair. Her pair of green eyes were clear and smiling, and she seemed refined and elegant. I should give her like a older woman voice, right? Not like not a middle-aged woman, but like a, you know, like a ara voice. You know what I mean? After Oriana heard Roseanne repeat Don Smith's introductions, she took out a note and wrote advance slip. Sign here. Do you have a seal? If not, you can leave a thumbprint. Alright, now familiar with procedures, Klein completed the formalities. Oriana took out the copper key and opened the safe in the room. As she counted the pound, she saved a smile. You are lucky. We have enough cash today. By the way, Klein, You're invited to captain because you were involved in a paranormal activity and the fact that you have a speciality. Damn, okay, she's very questioning. Where's the exit button? What do you mean? This will test if you can imagine properly from now. Novel description. Black hair. Ooh. I wonder. I'm imagining her like Roseanne, but older, but black hair. Black-haired woman dressed in a flounced lace dress. And had fashionable curl. Oh, yeah, curly hair, true. Should I throw her? I can't throw. No, I'm not gonna do that. Open a OnlyFans? Maybe there is an OnlyFans already. How do you know there is not? Are you questioning me? Yes, you have you have impeccable intuition. Ryan was not stingy with his compliments. Orion took out 4 notes with light grey backgrounds with deep black patterns printed on them. After locking the safe, she turned around and smiled. That's because I had a similar experience too. Really? Klein shoved an appropriate level of surprise. Do you know about the serial killer that sent things in their frenzy 16 years ago? Oriana handed over the 4 golden pounds to Klein. Yes, it's the one which had 5 girls killed. Oh! Was she one of the victims? She had 5 girls killed consecutively. Some had their hearts and stomachs removed by the bloody butcher. Ugh, my mother often used that matter to scare my sister when we were young, said Klein as he thought about it. He received the notes and discovered that 2 of them were in a 5-pound denominations and 2 of them were in a 1-pound denomination. All of them had a grey background and were inked in black. The 4 corners had complicated patterns and special ink to prevent counterfeit. If we reach... Okay. Clip this. And I'm serious. I'm not even joking. If we reach 250 Patreons, I'll make an OnlyFans. I'm not joking. We're gonna duke out 4 notes with light grey backgrounds. Okay, wait 1 second. Where was I? Former notes were slightly... Oh wait. The duo notes discovered that 2 of them were in 5-pound denominations and 2 of them were in 1-pound denomination. All of them had a grey background and were inked in black. The 4 corners had complicated patterns and special ink to prevent counterfeiting. I was... Yeah, don't clip that actually. No, clip it. The former notes were slightly bigger, and in the middle of them was Lowen's kingdom 5th king, George III's direct ancestor, Henry Augustus I. What I'm getting at is the Loan kingdom is like Britain. You can gift subs to Patreon. You can. You can actually gift. Anyway, just saying. Anyway, I'll react to Klein's and Leonard's. I'll think of something, okay? Anyway. So yeah, like I said, the Loan Kingdom seems like it's Britain, which is obvious. This is apparently France, or it's like France coded, right? Because when I watched the dub, Roselle had like a French accent, you know? Anyway, the former notes were slightly bigger and the handle of them was the Loan Kingdom's 5th king, George III, direct ancestor Henry Augustus I. He wore a white hairband above his rotund face. His eyes were slender and he had an abnormally serious expression. However, Klein felt an indescribably sense of closeness to him. This was a 5-pound note. It's almost as equal to 4 weeks of Benson's salary. Damn! The middle of £1 note was George III's father, the former King William Augustus IV. This might wielder had a thick mustache and firm gaze. While he was in power, he freed the Roman kingdom from the shackles of the old order, allowing his nation to regain the pinnacle spot. They were all good kings. Klein could faintly smell the notes, ink that elated and refreshed him. Yes, and the Nighthawks had not come in time, or would have been the 6th victim. Oh, so Oriana was our next victim, but she was saved. So let me do a voice for her again. Yes, the Nighthawks had not come in time. I would have been the 6th victim. Mr. Oriana's tone still hinted that sense of lingering fear, despite the incident having happened more than 10 years ago. I heard that the serial killer, no, the butcher was a beyonder. Klein carefully folded the paper notes and placed it in an inner pocket of his suit. Then he patted the area a few times to confirm it was there. Yes, Mr. Oriana was gave a firm nod. He had killed even more before that. The reason why he was captured was because he was preparing a ritual for the devil. Oh, I wonder if it was part of some kind of like a sect. Or order. Not a sect, order. Or like a secret order or something. He was trying to maybe do a ritual for a, you know, for a false god. Unorthodox god. No wonder he wanted different organs. No wonder he wanted different organs. Sorry, Mrs. Oriana, for making you recall such unpleasant memories, said Klein sincerely. Oriana smiled. I'm no longer afraid. I was studying accountancy in my business school back then. After that incident, I've been here ever since. Alright, I'll stop keeping you from what you should do. You still need to hit old Niels. Goodbye, Mrs. Oriana. Klein took off his hat and bowed before leaving the office. What a gentleman, by the way. Klein is such a gentleman. Before he went downstairs, he could not help but pat his inner pocket to make sure the 12 pounds was still there. He did a turn at cross junction and headed right. It did not take him long to see a half-closed iron door. While he knocked, an aged voice sounded from inside. Come in. Klein pushed open the metal door and discovered a crumpled room with only allowed for a desk of 2 chairs. I like Oriana, by the way. Oriana, I wanted to see more of the civilian staff, so that was cool. Yeah, what references? This guy's so paranoid with money. Me? How do you know? I'm not. I'm just joking. Klein pushed open a metal door and discovered a cramped room with only allowed for a desk and 2 chairs. There was tightly locked iron door inside the room, and behind the desk was a hoary dressed, elder dressed in a black robe. He was reading a few yellowed pages from a book with the illumination of a gas lamp. He raised his head and looked at the door. Are you Klein Moretti? Roseanne said you were very polite when she came over a while ago. Miss Roseanne is a very friendly person. Good afternoon, Mr. Neil. Klein took off his hat, a gesture of respect. Such a gentleman, man. I keep saying it. If you need Leo Klein art for OnlyFans, just ask. So we're actually doing that. Okay. Fine. I'll do that. Anyway. Have a seat. Neil pointed to the silver tin can with complex flowery patterns on the table. Would you like a cup of hand-ground coffee? The wrinkles at the edge of his eyes and mouth were deeply recessed. His dark red pupils appeared slightly turbid. Dark red pupils? Wait a second. Did he have dark red pupils? I thought his eyes were brown. It doesn't seem like you drink coffee. Klein accurately noticed that Neil's porcelain cup was filled with clear water. It's a habit of mine. I do not drink coffee after 3 this afternoon, Neil explained with a laugh. Why? Klein asked in passing. Neil held back his smile as he looked into Klein's eyes and said, I'm afraid that if it would affect my sleep at night, I'll make me hear the murmurings of the unknown existence. Damn! Okay. Klein was momentarily unable to answer him as he changed the subject. Mr. Neil, what documents and books should I read? As he spoke, he took out the note written by Dunn. Anything that has to do with history or complicated and incomplete, to be honest, I always have been trying to learn, but all I can achieve is a rudimentary grasp. It's just too troublesome for the... Why is Don Smith note so doomery? To be honest, I have always been trying to learn, but all I can achieve is rudimentary grasps. It's just too troublesome for the other material such as people's diaries, contemporary epitaphs, etc. Lamented Neil. For example, the things I have here require more detailed historical records to determine the exact content. Why? Klein turned confused. Neil pointed out to a few filled pages in front of him. These are from Roselle Gustave Lust's diary before his death. In order to keep things secret, he used strange symbols he invented to take records. Damn. Emperor Roselle, the Transmigration Senior? Klein was taken back as he immediately listened attentively. Many people believe he did not truly die, but since he became a hidden god. Oh, I made a theory about this, I remember now. God, I even wrote this down, I'm pretty sure. Wait, let me find it actually. I made a theory about this, like, months ago. It was because of one news video, let me find it. Where the fuck is it? Ah, I don't have it written down anymore. The theory that he didn't actually die and he actually did become God, and that God might be the steam and the craftsmanship, but they changed the name. That was my theory. I remember that. You're making notes on the novel? Yeah. When we reach like chapter 50, I'm gonna do like big notes. I think doing notes in the middle of reading will disturb the flow, so in the future we might take notes at the end of the stream for like, 30 minutes or something like that. So I was at a theory as well about that because of Ani News. Again, I wish I did not watch Ani News. I don't know, maybe I'm like talking about it too much about regretting watching Ani News, but I really like wish I went to the novel blind, So when you find a sequence time, return. Yeah, exactly. Donghua stuff is not spoiler. Yeah, I miss old Neil, man. It's just named after his Roselle, but I was thinking maybe the reason why that happened was because he reached sequence 1. What was the pathway name? Let's talk about it a little bit. Not 3-0 notes. He reached sequence 1 on the Savant pathway. That's what I was thinking, right? And he became a god, and maybe he replaced the previous god, and that's where the name changed. So that I was thinking. Anyway, so yeah, we'll update these notes while we go along, right? I haven't updated these notes since like episode 10 or something, so I have to do that. In which pathway I will choose in the game, I'm not sure yet, man. I wanna at least learn a few things about every pathway, and then I'm gonna choose. You mean Roselle killed Craftsman, gonna replace that? Yeah, I think so. That's my theory. From what I have seen. Assassin? Yeah, sure, buddy. We already have Assassin in our Discord. His name is Killex. Anyway. Many people believe that he did not truly die, but instead became a hidden god. Therefore, cults which revere him had always been holding various rituals with attempt to gaining power. He will occasionally encounter such incidents and obtain a few original or duplicated copies of the diary. Neil said with a shake of his head, Till date, no one has been able to decipher the special symbol's true meaning. Therefore, the Holy Cathedral has permitted us to keep copies for teachers, hoping that it will bring a pleasant surprise. With that, that said, Neil revealed a smug smile. I've already deciphered a few symbols and have confirmed that they represent numbers. I mean, the kanji for numbers is really simple, right? Remember? Not remember. You know? Chinese. Let's look at them. So these are symbols for Chinese like the first 4 or like first 3 are really easy, right? And then if you go to 4, I think it's number of strokes. 1 stroke, 2 strokes, 3 strokes. Wait, why is 4 3 strokes though? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. I was wrong. My bad. I was wrong. I thought it was number of strokes. Was it Japanese that has? These are Japanese kanji. These have strokes, right? Oh, never fucking mind. No, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. What? I was wrong. I'm spreading false info, guys. Anyway. Look what I discovered. It's actually a diary. Yes. I wish to use a history from different periods, especially events that revolted around the emperor, by comparing those records with the ones written in the diary for the corresponding day. I can try to interpret more of the symbols. Thanks, that's the mind of a genius, right? The old gentleman with the white hair and deep wrinkles looked at Klein with bright eyes. Klein nodded in agreement. Yes. You can also take a look at it. Tomorrow I will have a help with me with this diary. Neil pushed a few yellowed pages towards Klein. Klein turned them around and took a glance at them, but immediately stunned him. Although the symbols had been copied in terrible, ugly fashion, to the point of looking a little distorted, there was no way he could not be mistaken. This was because they were words he was most familiar with. Chinese! And it's fucking simplified Chinese. Oh my god, I love how the swearing comes out sometimes. I love that. When he's like really surprised, we saw him say motherfucker earlier. Now he says fucking. I like that. By the way, are you guys getting a lot of ads? Or is it just Nightwalker? Because I have ads on the middle setting where it's every like 20 minutes. For like not even for everyone, but the selected people. Anyway, that was chapter 20. Wow, we met old Neil. We met Oriana. I really like Oriana. We got more information who Oriana is. Mrs. Oriana, she's a victim of a serial killer who was saved. And she now works as an accountant. So I like her story. Maybe we're gonna see more of her. And then we also are now talking with old Neil. You guys are using ad block? Ad every 10 minutes? Really? I had to request to Twitch? Is it that bad? Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I'm gonna change it to once every 30 minutes then. Anyway. Wow. Klein's reaction to this is very fucking awesome. It's fucking simplified Chinese. I love that, dude. No filter. Wow. Okay, old Neil, let's see. Are we gonna see more of the diary? I guess we will, right? Chapter 21 now.